And we are live. Good evening, motherfuckers. Crack a little Oktoberfest here, y'all. Welcome to The Shit Show. This is the live feature-length commentary. Tonight, I am joined by my good pal, my buddy, my bro from New England Natives Podcast. His name is Tom Bruno. I'm your host, the Movie Monk, J-Bone Capone. Let's add Tom Bruno and see what's up with old Tom.
Old Tom.
Old Tom, what's going on?
This is
What's happening, bro?
Uncle Tom. Not too much, brother. How the heck are you?
He is an uncle. He is technically an Uncle Tom, and I feel like that's maybe not the thing that I should be saying within the first 60 seconds of a live stream. I kind of feel like I'm already inviting the algorithm to come in here and completely molest this stream. But, it is what it is. We're about to watch some copyrighted material on YouTube. Like, this is all about how I can skirt the loopholes. So anyway, Tom, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. Tom joined us last week to talk about what sort of movies we like to watch at Halloween. And, Halloween is one of the quintessential Halloween season films, man. How do you feel about the Halloween franchise in general?
I love the Halloween franchise. There's definitely some lesser Halloween sequels, but I find H20 to be the epitome of a ending in regards to the Halloween franchise. They're clearly, if you know anything about the Halloween lore, they've tried to end, well, not ending, they've had endings, but Mustafa, what the heck's his first name? I can never remember his first name.
Akkad. I think Akkad is his last name. I think Mustafa Akkad is the dude's name.
Mustafa Akkad.
He's no longer with us anymore. He has passed.
So now it's his son that owns the rights now.
Yeah. For the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, it's been his son.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool because his son actually started from the bottom. And I mean, like, how can you start from the bottom when your dad owns a franchise and works in the movies? But it's
my dad gave me the Halloween franchise. I started from the bottom.
He started from the bottom. Now he's here, and he, actually did a lot to enrich the franchise. He was a big supporter of a lot of the younger guns that were coming into the series and being like, hey, I'm going to support your thoughts and your ideas. And that's how we got some of the better sequels and redos as we did. So Mustafa Akkad, like a long time ago, like he got the rights to this film. He's actually one of the guys that got John Carpenter involved. He is very essential to it, at least was before he RIP'd. And every single time that a movie was over, even if they bombed, and I mean bombed, Jason, he was still like, make sure you leave room for another one. And he was a big believer in that. Which
there was a contract actually that said you can't whack out Michael in any kind of definitive way. Like they had several things like you can't end the movie in this or this way. It has to be, the door has to be open, because if we make $100 million, we got to come back for another one.
Oh yeah. I mean, first of all, he saw potential. He wasn't even a big fan of number 3 per se, because his biggest problem is the same one that all the fans had. Where the fuck is Michael Myers?
Yeah.
And I mean, I like number 3. I know you like number 3.
I love number 3. And I will actually go on record and say this. Not only do I love number 3, but I actually think that the Halloween franchise took a grave misstep by not following through on the anthology idea. I think coming back for Halloween 2 set up an expectation that all subsequent Halloween movies would be part of this franchise surrounding this character of Michael Myers and possibly this town of Haddonfield, Illinois. But then when they came out with part 3 and they changed it up, that felt like too much of a curveball. I think if they had done part 3 instead of part 2, just done, Halloween 2 is basically Halloween part 3, Season of the Witch, and then continued with an anthology series, I think there would have been a lot more room creatively to bring in different, creative teams, writers, directors, producers, to get different things going. You could have revolving creative teams so that you could have movies coming out like every year or every other year. You could really like explore a lot of different stuff without being tied to this franchise. And I mean, I think a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is how this movie sort of breaks away from some of what had already been done to create an ending. But I think there's a lot of baggage that comes with any franchise, and having to pick up and do a fourth one or a fifth one, it's like, how do you do something that's new but that doesn't piss people off that are fans of the franchise? Because you're really in a tough situation. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't with franchise filmmaking. Because if you make it exactly like the previous one or the greatest one, you just basically do a remake of Halloween Part One. People get mad because they're like, "Well, this is just a rehash of the first one." If you go and swing for the fences and make it wildly different, then people come back and say, "What the fuck was this? It was nothing like Halloween Ends." People are like, "I hate Halloween Ends because it was what the fuck was this? This was not even a Halloween movie. Michael Myers was some kind of bitch cuck that got beat up by a fucking nerd in the sewer. What the fuck is this?" And it was, they took some wild swings. They tried to make something that was like very different, while basically making a remake of Christine. So anyway,
Yeah. I
Halloween
kind
H2O.
Halloween H20. I find it amazing because Halloween H20 was originally not going to be Halloween H20. They had like completely different ideas of where it was going to go, and it's
Yeah.
funny because Jamie Lee Curtis famously signed off. She's like, I write off Halloween in its entirety. I am no longer going to be in any more after number two.
Yeah.
She's been approached many a times
Oh yeah.
throughout the years to be like, hey, please come back, blah blah blah. And it's funny because we're gonna mention Scream a lot for this being a Halloween movie, and that's because Kevin Williamson, who was the screenwriter on Scream, kind of reinjuvenated the horror genre in the mid 90s. Like it was kind of at a stalemate. It was kind of stagnant and kind of stale
Yeah.
in the early 90s, in the late 80s, even though there's like tons of films that I think are brilliant from those from that time in between those two, in between that and then.
Yeah.
Um, Not everybody thought that, especially at the time. Like, especially, the studios. The studios were like, we're not making any fucking money off this.
Yeah.
Key example, like Chucky 3, fucking bombed. Freddy's Dead, fucking bombed. Jason Goes to
Yeah.
Hell, fucking bombed.
The early
They
90s were a really bad time for some of these horror franchises that have been so popular through the 80s. I think, you get to the end of the 80s and the early 90s, and I think a lot of people were just pretty tired of, like I said, where things just kind of feel like a rehash. It feels like just the same
Mhm.
shit. And people were tired of it, I think.
They were definitely tired of it. So, welcome 1996, and a little movie called Scream comes out, directed by Wes Craven, fucking written by Kevin Williamson, and it goes fucking bonkers in the cinemas. I mean, like they killed it in the box office, something obscene. So all the studios with their fucking little franchises, like, oh shit, we got a little bit of that. Oh shit, we got a little bit of that. The best
Yeah.
two examples: Bride of Chucky. Chucky was dead. Number 3 killed. I loved Chucky 3. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big sympathizer for it. I think it was fun. I was a kid when I saw it, so I still love it today. But Bride of Chucky came from that. Universal, that's their franchise. They had Chucky. That's the only one they have. They have the old movie monsters, but they had Chucky. That's the most relevant. So Bride of Chucky gets made off that, which enters Ronnie Yu into the mainstream of horror, because before that he was doing films out in China, if I'm not mistaken. He's a
Hong Kong.
Chinese
Yeah. Yeah.
filmmaker. Hong
Yeah.
Kong, thank you very much. A Providence, an adjacent China. So Ronnie Yu comes over, he makes Bride of Chucky, which does fucking amazing. He gets to do Freddy vs. Jason, which was fucking, in my personal opinion, amazing. But also because of the success of Scream, all of a sudden Halloween becomes relevant again. They were actually destined to be a straight to video, which today is awesome. Nobody cares if you go straight to a streaming platform.
Yeah. There's a different
Nobody
stigma today than there
there.
was, in the 90s. If you went straight to video, it was like, come on, man. Like it was stinky. It was like, ugh, you don't want this. If they don't
You
release it theatrically, they don't got any confidence. There's no good, if they
no,
didn't release it theatrically.
it's
And
it's not they lesser talents, less money. There's a ton of stuff that comes with straight to
yeah,
video releases.
it was a
But
different vibe. I mean, nowadays it's like there's some prestige to a Netflix release or a Hulu release, but or especially Max, but back then there
oh
was
yeah.
a stigma. But I will say that, had it not been, we're going to talk a lot about Scream, like you said, and you're totally right. had it not been for the success of Scream, I think Halloween 6 just did so bad, and it was just this whole like Curse of Thorn trilogy, this Druid trilogy, just had creatively, they had just wrung that dry. It was just, where were they going to go from there? It was just, it had petered out to a point where maybe they would have done something direct to VHS, like, I don't know, in 97 or 98 or 99, but I don't know. I think that might have been a dead franchise for a little while.
It was a dead franchise, and you're absolutely right. The problem with the Curse of Michael Myers was it was being pieced together by 3 different writers. Like, they took little itty bitty amounts from each one. And the first guy who started, like, if you remember, Halloween 5 ends with the Man in Black shooting a whole bunch of people. And then we jump to the next movie, and that was like the biggest mystery. Like, who the fuck is the Man in Black? Turns out it's a fucking weak ass doctor that wants to get even older than him, fucking Dr. fucking Pleasance, fucking doctor. I know. Fucking he wanted to get him. He's like, hey, I'm too old to like manage the curse of Thorn for Michael anymore. You, Dr. Loomis, you're 10 years older than me, but you have the fucking strength of the will to take
you're
it over
83.
now.
Why don't you do this? Yeah.
you're a young centurion. But the thing is, like, so that continued into that, and it sucked. It bombed. Paul Rudd was a big supporter, and a whole bunch of other people, but none of the fans were. So it was the next movie was going to be straight to DVD. In walks Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis, who I remember it was something like money. She definitely had like an idea. She's like, I believe in this franchise. I want to be a part of it again, because they wrote her character like a really good story. And she didn't like initially want to be like, hey, I just want to do this. But like, there was a story arc written where she, it's kind of the tale that we see, that she, is living this secret life, that she originally she was supposed to have a daughter and stuff. But of course, the Rachel character was her daughter from 4 and 5. And that she kind of died. Oops, spoilers. But she did. She died so badly. But she was interested in the story. So she's like, hey, if I'm going to do this and it's a 20-year remake, I think we should get John and Deborah involved. And anyone that is not in the know, John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, they wanted them to jump on. So the thing is, Carpenter was kind of pissed off at Mustafa Card, because like he felt like he owed him some money.
Yeah, he was owed
tons of money. So the deal that Carpenter asked for in exchange to do this movie was $10 million in a 3-picture deal with Dimension Films. But Bob and Harvey Weinstein were like, fuck you. And Steve Miner was hired to direct instead. It's all based off the money that he was owed, and the bulk of the revenue of Halloween didn't get any of that money. It all went to Mustafa, because once again, he owned the character. So no John Carpenter.
So yeah. Backing up a sec, you mentioned the director of Halloween H20 is Steve Miner. He is also known for his earlier horror pedigree. Importantly, he directed Friday the 13th Part 2 and Part 3 in the early 80s.
Right.
Yeah. So Steve Miner is, he's coming to the Michael Myers franchise from the Jason franchise, which was notoriously inspired by, motivated by, and possibly a ripoff of the original Halloween. So that almost feels full circle for Mr. Steve Miner.
So what I took from what you just said was Harvey Weinstein is a pedophile because he wanted a minor.
Yes, he loves minors. he only fucks with minors if he can.
Only.
And
Chilean, Steven, these are the minors that he fucks with.
He loves him, dude. Harvey Weinstein. That's why he's in prison. That's why he's in trouble. He's not a good guy. And it took a long time for us to learn about his love for minors. But obviously, not a good thing, and not something that the movie mass, our particular parish, endorses here. Okay, we don't diddle the kids in this particular Team Almy parish. Okay, not a thing that we do around here. So with sticking with Halloween H20, I mean, just to keep the preamble focused on the movie as much as humanly possible. I mean, let's violently segue away from pedophilia amongst Hollywood elite and get back to the task at hand, which is a scholarly discussion of Halloween H20. And so this film comes out in 1998. Uh, you is this the first Halloween you saw in the theaters, or is this the first Halloween you saw, period? What's your
Nope.
experience kind of coming at this film?
So I saw here's the problem. I was nowhere near the person I am today and have the appreciation, the understanding, the
Yeah,
mental capacity to see and love little things about movies that I do now. I was a kid. I liked horror movies. They were all good to me. They were all good to me. Like, show me a guy stabbing some people, and I'm like, brilliant,
yeah,
Oscar
yeah,
nominated.
yeah.
But
What
the
is this
thing is,
Titanic bullshit, and why did H2O not win?
I
What
saw I
the
saw that
fuck?
like I saw Titanic like 5 times, bro, with my
Really?
girlfriend. "What up,
So,
son?"
jerked
Kiss
off
that
every
chick.
time.
No, can't jerk off. No penis hairs to speak of. Anyways, so, I remember not liking Halloween 1. The newer they got, the better they got to me because I'm like, "Newer's better. Grainy film sucks."
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
remember being that
H2O.
age. I think we all go through that, I think. When you're young, you prefer the contemporary films, and watching an older movie is typically kind of difficult. I get that.
So, Halloween H2O was, in fact, the first Halloween that I ever saw in theaters. And better yet, I saw it at the cheap seats. Now, kids, anyone that's not old enough to remember, movies used to stay in a theater for a long time. We're talking like 6 to 8 months
Yeah.
at least. Like we're talking at least if they're good. If they're really good, they can go longer than a year. But regardless of how great they are, eventually they would be going to VHS or DVD, whichever the medium it was working with them. Most time VHS. There was like 3 months before it'd go to VHS, where it'd go to this magical place, kids, called the
Yeah.
cheap seats. Now, what was your code? What was your street name for the cheap seats? Cheap
Um,
seats.
I'm trying to remember what we called the theater. It was the dollar. We just call. I mean, I just call it the dollar theater because it was $1
Yeah,
for the tickets. And man, I
sure.
got to tell you, I did love that. I wish they still did those, where it was just. I mean, even if it was just a couple of bucks to get in to see a
Mhm.
second run movie, they called it second run. It was like I can't remember the name of the theater, but there was one, and it was right down the street from where I lived when I went to high school when I was living with my folks. I mean, it was maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles down the road from where we lived. It was not difficult. It was one turn out of my parents' neighborhood and then left into the parking lot for the theater. Popcorn was cheap too. I mean, I want to say it was
Oh
like
yeah.
a buck for the ticket, um, 2, 3 bucks for a bag of popcorn. I mean, you could actually, I took my wife. In fact, that movie theater existed for so long that I actually took my wife there to go see Skyfall. This dates me a little bit because that was 2012.
Ooh.
My wife and I had just, or it was 2013 by the time it was in the dollar theaters. Regardless, it was a while ago. She was not my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend, and we had really just kind of started dating. And I was like, "Yo, you got to see the Skyfall movie because I'm into James Bond, wicked bad." And we went, and man, so the dollar theater I loved. So you're saying you saw H2O in the dollar theaters?
I saw it in the cheap seats as we called it up here.
Yeah,
Funny enough, there's actually a theater in town for a matinee. You're talking $5 still, buddy, for new
that's not
movies,
bad.
which is really hey
That's
man, live in
not
the
bad
woods.
at all.
S-
I
So,
I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I went to see a
Mhm.
matinee at 1:30 PM on a Monday afternoon. It was like lunchtime. I went to go see that movie, and
Nice.
that movie ticket was like 15 fucking dollars, and I was a little upset about
Really? So the reason that I got to go see it is my friends all loved horror films, and it was really
that.
easy to talk my parents into, shivvying out a couple bucks for a fucking cheap seat. It's like, hey, mom, give me $3. I can keep myself entertained for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
Just pick me up and drop me off. So I went and saw it. I thought it was fucking brilliant. I love the ending of this film, Jason. I cannot tell you how much I love this ending. The ending's gonna play, and I'm still gonna get
yeah,
goosebumps. I find it to be almost perfect. And
yeah.
even knowing what I know what happens next, even though I know, are we allowed to talk about the ending of this film? Like, is that kind of like a fucked up thing
Let's
to do?
No, 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 not at all. But let's try to set the stage now, and then let's take some time after the movie because it'll be like fresh
Okay,
on the screen.
perfect,
Everyone
perfect,
will have just seen it, and then we could talk
perfect,
about like what just happened and why it's moving to you. Because
perfect.
I do
Okay,
think your perspective on this film I find quite fascinating, and that is why I wanted to do this commentary with you because I think you're actually going to be to a large degree a counterbalance to my own
oh
personal
shit.
perspectives and opinions because I saw this film. I did not see this in the theaters in 1998. I mean, even though I was in high school at the time, it was that that era of my life where I was going to see movies kind of like this. Although I did prefer more like the Jackie Chan style. Like if it was a Jackie Chan movie and Jackie Chan was in his movie and he was whooping Michael's ass, this would have been my favorite movie in 1998. Let me tell you
And
something.
that's why Halloween Resurrection is the best film ever made.
Yeah. Only they needed to put Jet Li and Busta Rhymes' role because then I would have bought it. But it's like this guy can't act, and you got him doing kung fu.
He can't fight.
I don't want to get started, but I will say that I did wind up seeing Halloween H20 later as an adult in the 2000s on DVD or something. I saw it. I might have even been on DVD. It might have been on television, AMC. Like this time of year, they're always showing the Halloween movies kind of on repeat. And I think I might have caught this film for the first time, many years ago now at this point, but nonetheless, still like, 5, 7, 8 movies years after this movie came out in theater. So it might have been like early 2000s to mid 2000s when I caught this on some, AMC Fear Fest. I might have seen it on DVD with one of my college roommates or something, but I might have seen it on TV with like the commercials and the edits and everything. So I definitely have a little bit of a different, I'm not as sentimental about this film, even though I do love movies of this era. Like that like mid to late 90s horror vibe is like not bad. I like it a lot, actually. So I don't know. I mean, I do have a little bit of a different opinion, which I'm sure we will discuss as we go through the film, which we'll be watching here in a sec. So, what would you tell somebody? My last question before we get cracking on the movie, audience guys, everybody out there, gals, whatever you are, whatever you got in your pants, we're about to start playing the movie soon, I swear. But Tom, for you, let's say you encounter a person who's never seen Halloween H20, but they're open to it. They say they're going to sit down and watch it very soon, maybe this weekend. What would you tell them? Like, how would you kind of set the stage for them to best enjoy this movie?
I would first thing I would ask them, like, have you seen at least Halloween 1? And if they
Yeah.
said no, I'd be like, you're not gonna have any interest in this film, then I'm very sorry. It's not gonna play to you. It's not gonna play to you at all. Go watch that first and then we'll talk. But if they had seen Halloween 1, I would say, so you remember how the girl in Halloween 1 was a scared, like shaking rabbit, and she just barely scrapes her way through this movie? And I'd be like, okay, so take that girl. And okay, so correction. Do you remember the coat hanger scene? The one time where she like really put in the effort and she like, stabbed him with the coat hanger. I'm like,
Yeah.
take that version of the character and put her throughout the entire film, except she's racked with phobias, and she's neurotic, and
PTSD,
she's
all that.
PTSD, all the things all that she has. And yet she still knows and plans for the fact her brother. I'm basically gonna sell it the same way I sell Halloween 2016. But I'm like, she's that, and the thing is that keeps her going even harder now as she has a child to care for,
Yeah.
and what that relationship does to him. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful study of the character. It's a beautiful evolution of the character, and it has one of my favorite endings of all time on a film. I'd sell it like that.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think this is a more understandable evolution of the Laurie Strode character than Halloween 2018 was, because she went full Sarah Connor in
Yeah, she
2018. She was just like, here she had a gun. That makes sense. You were attacked in your home, you were almost killed. It sort of makes sense that you're going to go buy a gun after that and keep one in your home, and maybe even, learn how to shoot it, learn how to load it, some basic gun safety. They took that, she's very realistic. She's kind of a high functioning alcoholic. She has some kind of, trust issues and paranoia that obviously stem from her PTSD from her experience 20 years earlier. But in 2018, they really put that on steroids. They took it to a level that I think was probably a bit unrealistic by making her basically Sarah Connor. I mean, she was like training every weekend, every night. She's like she like locked down her whole house. She got like fucking, like at the mall when they close the stores at the mall, they bring down those metal grates. She got them things on fucking remote. Anyway, this, I think, in H20, you get a Laurie Strode who is, she
more
is
realistic.
still that survivor, but also a little bit more realistic, like not quite so caricature-ish.
No, exactly. And the thing is, like, Okay, so really quick, I'm sorry, guys. So in Halloween 2018, she has one experience, which is Halloween back in 1970. That is her only
Yeah,
experience with Michael Myers. And
yeah,
yes, she's planning for him as if she's Laurie Strode from H2O, who was actually seeing all the times her brothers come back from all
yeah.
these things. She wasn't there personally, but you're telling me she didn't have a newspaper, didn't have a TV or something. Of course she did. She knew what he was up to. That's why she was hidden in, like, away with under a fake
Summer
name
Glen.
across the country,
Yeah,
and she was like, changed everything about herself, but she was prepared in the way of, as you so accurately said, with a gun. That is it, and a bottle of booze. That's her
yeah.
fucking,
She drank
that's
a
her
lot of
protection.
vodka or
A
gin. It was clearly
lot of
her.
vodka.
It might have been like a clear rum, but it wasn't a spiced rum, and she drank a lot of, which makes a lot, from a movie standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because you just use water as your stand-in. But there is a scene that I want to point out, kind of
Oh yes.
midway through the movie, where she basically pours herself very tall, like a good 4 fingers of vodka, and then
Oh
proceeds
yeah.
to just slam it as she walks through the house. It's a tracking shot. It's like Martin Scorsese filmed this shit for Goodfellas, right?
Guy
It's just this
Ritchie.
one single
Love
it's
this.
this one single fucking tracking shot. Yeah, Steve Miner turned into fucking Martin Scorsese for a second. Because he's like, let's follow her through her living space as she basically downs this 4 fingers of vodka in about 8.5 seconds. It's fucking wild. Anyway,
Anyway, let's start this movie.
let's let's go ahead and get to it. For you guys watching at home, for you guys listening, if you're gonna watch along on your own television, as Tom Bruno is doing, or Buno, sorry, as Tom Buno is doing now,
Thank you.
we're gonna do a
Thank you.
countdown so you can hit play on your DVD player. Okay. So if you're watching because you're a patron, God bless you. You're gonna see this uncovered on the Patreon. But if you're watching on your disc and listening to the commentary in your ear as you go, we're going to do a little countdown here. We're going to do a little 3, 2, 1, go. How about that? Okay, so we're starting the very beginning of the film from the Dimension logo in 3, 2, 1. Press play. I'm going to cover this up, unfortunately, for the YouTube audience. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what that lady is doing carving pumpkins out in her yard, but
She,
like,
she is horrible. Do you say the way
and
that she
it's
went about that?
honestly, this is the 90s. This is 1998. Like, you're not carving it like it's 1960 anymore. Like, they got those little safe doodads for like 99 cents at the grocery store. You don't need a fucking Michael Myers knife, but we know why they opened with the shot of the knife, right? I mean, it's a Halloween movie.
So really quickly, originally they wanted this character right here, who is in fact Dr. Loomis's nurse, like the chick that you see in the very first Halloween, the one that the car gets climbed over. That's
Yeah,
this
she's
chick.
riding with him. Yeah,
Yeah, that's her.
Marion
And they wanted to
Chambers.
be thank you. They wanted it to be Dr. Loomis's daughter originally, but that didn't make any
Oh,
sense.
yeah, it didn't make any
This
sense.
is and this is the first movie without Donald Pleasance, by the way, just
Yeah, he
FYI.
had died just a few years earlier. He had died right after making part 6. That's how bad Curse of Michael Myers was, that he's just like, "Fucking peace. I can't come back for another one of these. I got to
It killed the
fucking do it."
franchise.
He's like,
It
"If I
killed
do
me.
another one of these, I'm not gonna get into heaven. These movies are so terrible." So at any rate,
That is a long cigarette she's got, by
I
the
wanna
way.
say
Like,
that this opening sequence, though, this is my favorite part of the movie, is this opening sequence before the
it's a good
credits.
one.
And I
Oh,
also
oh,
want to say that they get the Halloween vibe so right, and then they completely disregard it for the rest of the movie. The Halloween vibe is gone as soon as they transition the
I'm
action to
pretty
California. But here it's
I'm pretty sure the
perfect.
mask. I'm pretty sure the mask right over there. I think that's actually a character from Hellraiser. By the way, he drives a fucking Chevy. Oh, and here we go. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's
Yeah.
like one of his first movie roles ever.
Yeah, and I'm very glad he dies. An annoying
So quick. Third Rock from the Sun. Fuck you.
yeah, fuck you. Yeah.
Back in the
And my only regret is that we don't actually see him bury the fucking ski, whatever, what do you call it? The fucking the ice
what is he
skate
doing
in
with
his fucking
skis?
face.
What's he
I don't
doing with
know.
ice skates in his fucking dude? I mean, he's dressed up as a goalie for Halloween. Clearly, that's why he was wearing
No,
the
I think he plays. I
Jason's
think
voice
he's.
mask.
No, I think he plays. He plays hockey though, right? Like he's got the stick
Yeah,
and he's got
but
the.
It's fucking Illinois in the middle of October. He's not out on the fucking ice right now unless he just
No, I
like
mean, he's not.
walked it.
He's not,
Unless he's super.
he's not skating right now, but I think he's, like, on the hockey team or something because they do that in Illinois, right? I
Yeah,
mean, they
and
do
what
that
kind of
up
a bitch
here in New England.
and what kind of a bitch move is it for his buddy not to go in with him? Like,
Dude,
come
it's a
on,
bitch
real?
move. No, his buddy says, "I'm gonna stay out here and protect her," because he's basically wetting his pants at that moment, and that's his buddy basically saying, "I'm afraid," and
Yep.
it sets the tone. I mean, I love the opening of this film because they're playing
Yes.
the Mr. Sandman song, right? "Bring Me a
Oh,
Dream,"
love it.
which is a
Yeah, yeah.
reference to the first film. But then, as soon as she steps on that glass and realizes that her home has been broken into, the music stops and the vibe completely shifts. I mean, it really shows you how effective sound in film is for setting a tone. And they use the
Yeah.
silence throughout this film to increase the anxiety that you have over the characters, to increase this sense that are they in some kind of danger. You don't play this non-diegetic music anymore. You don't need it. What you need now is focus on the performance, focus
Yeah.
on that sound of silence. The way,
Oh,
is Michael Myers in here? Is he not? It is really a pretty perfect use of sound, or in this case, less sound, taking the music out and going with the silence. Like when Marion stepped on that glass, the music ended immediately, and then she goes next door, and all of a sudden the streets are empty. They were crowded with kids earlier. There was this Halloween vibe. It seemed like this happy suburb, and then all of a sudden it becomes dangerous. And all they did was drop the music and change the soundscape a
I
little bit. It's pretty effective.
I do love this scene come up here. Besides the fact that he steals the beer bottles and you hear him clinking as he
I
walks
love
away.
that he steals the beer bottles. He's like, "Oh, sweet." It's like his
This
opportunity as a teenager shithead.
right here, fucking yes. And then it leads into like one of the funniest scenes that actually works really well. Coming up here with Marion in a second,
Yeah, he's like,
very
"They
relieved.
trashed your kitchen really bad." Yeah.
You
So
bastard! That's
I
Joseph
I love,
Gordon-Levitt lied.
but
You
it's
stole
good
it.
I mean, it's like it's actually good. Like, it's a
How
fun
long?
teenage character, right? Because like when I was that age, I would have stolen some beers too. I'd have been like, "Shit,
Oh,
well, I'm
absolutely.
fucking
I would have
taking some
stolen.
beers for my trouble."
Oh yeah. And how long was he just in that house? It was just daylight a couple minutes ago. I'm just saying, like,
Well, and it
oh
it actually, with this scene, it did seem like it was dusk when she pulled up,
yeah,
like it was about to
yeah,
be dark, but then it got light again when she went next door to get the 2 teenagers, and then,
yeah.
it got darker again really fast
Super
when he
dark.
was in there.
And
So,
that has nothing to do with continuity of the sunlight behind him. And plus, things are spookier in the dark, Jason. I love that she's
yeah.
like, by the way, she's like, where the so much for the cops and like, okay, so your power's out, and you still go in the house? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This
Yeah, I
this
mean,
lady's begging
she
to
took it
die.
for granted he was correct, that the killer was not in the house, and actually
Yeah.
he was right. The killer, they go home and Michael Myers is in their house, and
Yes.
he's busy killing them right now while we follow Marion through the house that apparently she shared with Dr. Loomis. I was reading about this. Apparently she and Dr. Loomis were shacked up.
Oh,
I don't know if
she
that
like
meant
took
that they
care
were
of
doing
him.
this or if she was just a live-in nurse. I don't know.
I bet you she was more of like a hospice nurse type thing. That
Yeah.
seems like her kind of style. So but here's the thing is like, do you think Michael Myers actually cut the physical power line? That's what he did. Like, that's what he did. It by the way, very big mistake on fucking Loomis's part. He like he's like, Laurie Strode almost died. She goes in a witness protection program, but I'm gonna keep her next identity right here.
Yeah, I actually
Fucking asshole.
that's my first complaint about this film actually, is that I think that maybe, given the experience that they had together, Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, Laurie
Mm,
Strode may have told him in confidence what she was
mm.
planning, but I don't think
Yes.
that he would have had any written record of it for Michael to find. So that's the
No,
first
not at all.
thing that I'm like, well, why would he have a
Ugh.
file? Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, Laurie Strode was never his patient, right?
No,
Michael was
not at
his
all.
patient. So I mean, like,
I mean,
we're talking about files that he would have as a doctor. He would have
ugh.
files on Michael. He wouldn't have files on Laurie. And so why would Michael be able to
See,
find
right,
Laurie's
and
location?
rightfully so. She takes off at that point because she's like, the front door opening, that could have been me. I didn't shut it
I
all the
love
way.
that. I
And
love
then
that.
the back door. Oh wait, it's good. She's a horrible runner. Just like
Well,
really good at breaking into houses
and she
though.
is a girl.
Jimmy. Oh my god.
She's
This
a
is awesome.
girl.
All right.
I know.
Ready for the first kill here in
Yeah.
five,
Well, it's
4,
not even it's
3.
the aftermath. I would have
That
loved
is
to see him bury that skate in Joseph Gordon-Levitt's face.
it would
And I
have
don't
been
really
really
even
hard
have
for
any
them.
particular beef with him. I would have loved to have seen that, like, right
Enter
across the
the
face.
protagonist. What do you think about this variation of the mask, by the way? A lot of people don't like it.
Terrible. No. The mask. I
You
mean, look at what I'm using for the overlay. Are you looking at the overlay? Or I mean,
No,
just
I'm
look.
looking at the movie.
Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
it's terrible. It's actually an example of some really early CG, and it's god awful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's not fantastic. It's not
she makes
fantastic.
the classic mistake here, the classic
Boom.
blunder of you hit him, but then you try to run and you don't hit him like
I
3 or 4 or 5 times. She's essentially in the same condition as Pamela Voorhees in the first Friday the 13th. She's
Yep.
basically the same age and physical condition.
Oh,
I mean,
so I
she could
hated
have
that
done something.
stab. I hate that stab, that scene of the stab. I hated that, but I love this scene coming up. I think it's a really good use of practical effects right here. The slitting of the
Yeah.
throat. I see they do a really good job. That looked real, to be fair. Like,
Yeah, yeah, she died a little quickly. I mean, like, the slitting
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah,
throat,
yeah.
you're gonna bleed out. There's like if you've seen that episode of Breaking Bad where Gus slits Homeboy's throat, that was a lot more realistic. Like it takes a
Yes.
minute to bleed out. You kind of have
Yep.
to hold the motherfucker down and let them bleed out a little bit. She just kind of dies immediately, and then like it would have been a lot uglier. It would have been more of a struggle.
And these two cops are the worst cops on the planet. Not only does somebody drive away in a very nice 1969 Chevelle,
Yeah,
but on top of it, they completely did not hear this woman say, "Help me!" and the window
I
breaks.
know. She
That's
breaks the window and yells for help, and they're just like, "What do you suppose that was?" I don't know, man. It's a Halloween prank.
it is. Oh, you silly kids with all your slitting
You silly
throats.
kids, yeah. But I will say
Oh.
my other complaint though is
Mhm.
that he steals the car, and it's not Marion's car. It's not the car that Marion drove up in. So it's got to be
No,
one of the kids' car. But like
it is.
I
It
would
is.
see them driving like a Rav 4 or some shit. But can you imagine? I mean, it has to be some old, kind of muscly, kind of manly looking car because
It's a
Michael
dope
Myers
car.
driving a fucking Rav 4 from 1995 would be the most bitch made shit he could possibly fucking do. Like, I'd rather see Michael
Um,
Myers suck an actual dick than drive off in some fucking like Honda Civic from like mid 90s, 2-door
um,
Honda Civic, the biggest vagina car ever.
blah. So what he's talking about is he's saying Michael Myers be the same age, but I love this opener right here. So let's give it 1 second.
This is pretty cool.
Hold on. It's gonna kick in. Oh, just like the really like kind of slow go they do with the John Carpenter score is just it's fucking titillizing. Oh, Steve Miner.
That's
Ready?
Harvey Weinstein's second favorite minor.
Ready? Mm.
Let's talk about the title a little bit. H2O. I think they wanted us to call it H20, but everybody calls it H2O, right? We all just call it H2O.
That's what I always called it.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Everybody
classic
I've ever
Donald
met calls
Pleasance.
it H2O. And I like that they give a little nod to Donald Pleasance here.
Oh yes, and I love this quote. And they're gonna focus on the mask here, the drawn mask, and talk about the blackest eyes. It's brilliant. It's really well done.
It's a good callback.
Yes, Janet Leigh. Oh right. Oh, and it says in introducing, Josh. There we go.
I really feel like they missed a golden opportunity to kill Janet Leigh in a shower.
That's very true.
In the shower. Michael Myers could totally have stabbed her because that's what he does. He does the psycho thing. Psycho did it first. Okay, Norman Bates did it first, but Michael Myers could definitely have done the stabby to her in the shower.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to call Norman by his colloquial, which is Norman Master Bates.
Bates,
because he is the master of the Bates
master
Motel.
of the Bates Motel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so you call him Master Bates. Yeah,
I do. That's what I call him, Master Bates.
Master Bates. Yeah, it makes sense.
I think that drawing is kind of cool. I actually like that on my wall. But I don't know if it would get any better blown up. It's not a fantastically drawn drawing.
No, you saw the one that I did the other night, right? I was very much stealing that style. I was kind of taking that sort of like police sketch done by an 8-year-old style.
That is a horrible picture of Laurie Strode right there. I would not have sex with her. Not gonna lie. I would not. I would be like, no, I mean, yeah, of course I would. I mean, who wouldn't? And by the way, creepy. Let's just circle one person on that yearbook.
Again, I'm you know, I have problems with this film, and I'm not gonna spend the next. I don't do commentaries just to shit on films. This is not Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is Movie Mass, the shit show, and I do one of the other problems besides calling it H2O, and there's not a drop of fucking water in this whole fucking movie. Why would you call it H2O and there's not a bit of fucking water in this? There's more vodka in this movie than water. Why do you gotta call it Halloween vodka? Call it Halloween Tito's. I don't know.
I'm not a massive fan of this opener right here, like the introduction to kind of.
I miss the pumpkin opener. I'll be honest with you. I love the pumpkin opener from the first film. How do you go wrong with that? And you need to do. I appreciated the opener where they showed you Loomis's office and how he maybe suspected that Michael Myers had survived part 2. But that's another big problem I got. Where has he been for the last 20 years? And how did he survive burning alive? You saw him fall over burning alive.
Little callback right here from Halloween 1978. Excellent scene. But I don't really dig this whole comeback just because they want to introduce her as Carrie Tate, and the Scream Queen is going to not one of her better screams, to be fair and honest, but that's okay though, because
I thought it was a weird. She's in a strange position on her bed, like she's sort of. I don't know. It's like one of those positions where you're trying to look good, but you're also trying to look casual. Like I have to lay in a way that looks like a natural sleeping position, but also makes my stomach look flat. And you know what I mean? Like because when you look at me in a sleeping, my wife takes pictures of me sleeping to laugh at me later, and I look ridiculous. I'm drooling on the pillow. My hair is fucked up. I don't look good. You don't look good when you're sleeping. Nobody looks good when they're sleeping. My 5-year-old looks good when she's sleeping. She looks cute as fuck.
Let's see what she's got going on here in the drug office really quick. She's got herself some. What is it? What does she get? They missed opportunity. They could have got some. Do you remember what the pill was in Nightmare on Elm Street that would stop them from having dreams? Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. They had a name for it. Do you remember what that was? Hypnocil. Wouldn't it be a little dope for a callback if they had some Hypnocil in there? Just a little bit.
That would be pretty dope. That would be pretty dope. Summer Glen, California. Now, I want to talk about this for a moment because I think it's a mistake for them to move the action from Haddonfield, Illinois to California. However, I'm willing to overlook it. But Summer Glen, I think the name of the town is intentional, and they give it to us for a reason. And the idea is that her paranoia and her PTSD reaches a height this time of year because it is Halloween. And this is, of course, the 20th anniversary to the day of the attack that scarred her so. So the reason why she moved to Summer Glen is that it is the very opposite of this thing that she so fears, the Halloween. It's a sunny day. It's long hours of light. Michael Myers doesn't attack during the day. He attacks when it's dark and when he can sneak in. He waited till the sun went down to kill those 2 boys in Marion. So for the love of God, she moves to a place that represents the very antithesis of this day that she fears so much. I think Summer Glen was so aptly named because this is the place she would seek refuge. She would seek refuge in the summer because it's the opposite, far away from the autumn. And there's long days. In California, the sun stays up and it stays warm. You don't get these reminders of the fall and the things that Halloween is normally associated with, which is both smart for her character, but also it kind of fucks with the vibe of the movie and doesn't give it that wonderful Halloween vibe.
It's like she had like 2 opportunities. She's like, do I move to Halloweenville or Summer Glen? Like I think
town.
She will never look. So I love, but we'll get to Josh Hartnett in a second because this is only his second feature film. I love the fact that she doesn't want him to go to Yosemite National Park, even though like she's an educator, that's a natural reserve. Actually, her son would probably be the safest out in Yosemite, but her paranoia will not allow her to do so. She has to keep him close. This is the day.
Yeah.
This is the day that ruined my life. Like, this day is going to come
She's
back.
very controlling. You can see that she's very, like, her response to the trauma was to try to control every single variable. She wants to keep him on a leash. She wants to keep an eye on him. She wants to manage him because she's worried that if she lets him out of her sight, that he'll suffer the fate of her friends in 1978 that all died.
She did see a lot of people die in 1978, to be fair and honest. But let's get to Josh Hartnett. I like how what's that called when you play a character and they only cast you as that character?
Like typecast.
Typecast. Thank you. I love how the typecast. Here's the first vision of Michael Myers. That's
the reflections are important in this film because when she sees Michael Myers, it's a reflection in the glass. He appears behind her in her mind, and he's reflected in the various windows that she stands in front of. It's the first time of a few times. And that's a film language way. Like, she could look at the camera and say, "I'm thinking about Michael Myers today because it's October the 31st." But
which they do.
Which she does a little bit of dialogue. The idea is that they want to communicate. The filmmakers want to communicate that she's thinking about Michael without telling us in a voiceover or something else that she's thinking about Michael. So it's actually a pretty perfect, visual way to tell us what's on her mind by simply showing it in the glass reflected next to her. It's not that Michael's there, it's that he's there in spirit. He's on her brain. And I think that's actually where this film is the most effective, is with some of these visual metaphors like that. Because otherwise, I think this movie kind of sucks.
And I know we've already talked about some things that, like, aren't really believable, but I do not believe for any second that loser could pick up that chick, the one that's like, we're gonna have a romance orgy.
Thank you. I had the same exact fucking thought. I thought, why did they cast this fucking twerp? He's 130 pounds and he's 5'6". Why would he be best friends with Josh Hartnett, who is like an athletic and handsome and fucking tall dude? Why would he be friends with the fucking nerd? Why are you casting the kid who looks like he was a fucking rat? He looks like Master Splinter. Cast him as fucking Master Splinter, that rat-looking fuck. And here's where Michael Myers loses his balls. This is where the movie falls apart to me. This is where I was going with the film until right here. And then the writers, this is not Michael's fault. This is not your fault, Tom. But this is the writer's fault, because they wrote this in such a way that we would feel a lot of anxiety for these characters. This is a taboo. That girl is probably 6 years old. She's an innocent, cute little girl, and she's with her mom, who's a, fairly attractive, looks like a pretty youngish mom. Yeah. Both of these are kind of like, these are the untouchable characters. Like, they're not
about the time that this happened. I'm sorry to cut you off like that, but think about what happened not too long before this happened. Columbine happened.
I think actually Columbine was right after, right?
Was it?
Or was it before? Well, I don't know. I need to look that. We should look that up. But this is right in line with Columbine. And I think there is still a taboo against, when Michael Myers was going after Jamie, his niece, in part 4 and 5, she was roughly that age. I mean, she might have been 8, I don't know, but she was still younger than, most of these horror films. They go after the, those 16-year-old, 17-year-old. For some reason, we as a culture are okay with watching a 16-year-old girl get stabbed to death. And Tina in Nightmare on Elm Street was 15, and she got sliced to death by Freddy Krueger, and we saw her blood splatter all over the room, and we're okay with that. But for some reason, the first time I watched this, I remember feeling squeamish, because I was like, please don't kill the little girl. And that was before I had 2 daughters. I have a daughter that age. So, like, watching this movie, if I watched this for the first time now, I'd be scared shitless for her.
You are absolutely right. The Columbine Massacre was April 20th, 1999.
Okay, so
you are absolutely right. So
I thought it was just. I was trying to remember when exactly Columbine happened, because I think I was a senior in high school when it went down, or maybe. But at any rate, I was trying to place it, geographically, without giving my age away to all our millions of viewers.
Scene still kind of funny though, like this whole right coming up, guys. We'll let you watch it.
So let me ask you this:
spiders.
It's funny. She's unaware that Michael Myers, a notorious killer, was a foot or 2 away from her, busy stealing her car. So let me tell you. Okay, I got 2 questions. Well, I got one question, but I want to rant before the question. First, the writers committed a sin there. They created a lot of tension because it made us worry that like Michael is going to violate this taboo by killing a 6-year-old girl brutally. This poor innocent girl is going to get killed. And I think that would have ruined this film for a lot of people, including me. On the other hand, they ruined this film for me by having Michael go into the bathroom, steal the keys to take the car, but not even fucking touch either one of those fucking people. He left these two vulnerable humans alive. You basically have a situation where you've either created a movie where a 6-year-old girl gets brutally murdered, or Michael Myers is a fucking cuck bitch who let two people just fucking live because he has some kind of morals all of a sudden. Why would he not kill those bitches?
He's a serial killer. And really quickly, just before I forget, Josh Hartnett, second movie, he did The Faculty before this, but in The Faculty, he was a post-grunge looking, thinner, bad, edgy kind of white guy. And that's exactly what he is now. If you think about the scene where all of them are in the quad and they all have like their shits on, his top button's not fucking button. He's got the tie. It's a little loose, like
he's got
Friday
this gay ass necklace. The whole, oh my God, his necklace.
Yeah, that necklace ain't cool, but he's rocking like the short sleeve with the long sleeve.
Let me tell you, it's so fucking 90s. Like that necklace. I mean, one of the worst things about this movie too, and I'm sorry, I know you love this movie.
I know you keep shitting on it. You're like, the reason this movie sucks and you suck.
Dude, I love you. I don't know about this movie, but I do love you. But what I want to say about this, like they even more than the first one, which does have that like very 70s reek on it. Like you can smell the 70s like oozing off of the hairstyles and the musk. Yeah, it's a very musky 70s aroma coming off the first one. This one just feels so fucking like they kind of cucked themselves here too by like this is 1998. Like it's odd. Like look at his hair, look at the fucking necklace he's wearing, like
look at the blazer she's wearing and all that shit, dude.
Ain't no fucking
God, so here's the thing.
Lesbian.
I love the act. By the way, Janet Leigh in the background. Shout out to Janet Leigh, R.I.P. Mrs. Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, famously in Psycho, like the original Scream Queen.
She was killed by Norman Master Bates.
Master Bates, baby. Oh, what a weird photo to have on your desk, by the way. But
what a sultry look.
Entering the next best character of the movie, period. Like,
okay. I agree with you. I want a movie about just this character. I want this movie to be about him. He's the protagonist, and we follow him the whole time. I love that he's like reading this shit to his like her melanous breasts. I love that shit. Melanous breasts.
He's got dreams, Jason. He's got dreams and ambitions.
I love it. I love it.
And his wife is real. His wife is real right here because she's cutting him down. She's like, nobody wants to listen to this shit.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear this melanous breast shit. I like how she's like, what do you mean? Like cantaloupes or watermelons? She's like actually grilling him for like, what kind of melon are we talking about with her titties? Like it matters.
That's a dangerous fucking question to answer because you're like, I don't have watermelons. Who you think about what has watermelons?
Yeah. I know. She's like, what the fuck? You been talking to that white girl again? You've been talking to that white girl again? She got big titties.
I love I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Joe. I'm so sorry, but I love the relationship between the Ronnie character and Josh Hartnett. There's that stupid necklace, but I love that he sympathizes with these kids. He's like, I was an angsty kid. Like the town's only like a couple minutes away. Like I can let them sneak out. For
he's thinking like, dude, I used to when I was that age, I wanted to get my dick wet too. Like homeboy's trying to get his dick wet, and he realized like game recognizes game. Like, dude,
and Josh Hartnett tells him, I want to get something special, and he's like, oh, that's the selling factor. What are you gonna get? You're gonna get some crack. You can get some booze. You can get some condoms. What are you getting that makes it so special, young Josh Hartnett with your necklace? And he's like,
and he's got his tie down. Like, look at the tie. I'm meeting the dress code by wearing a tie, but I'm fucking. It's all loose and halfway down my. Just wear the fucking tie.
He's chillaxing, bro. He's chillaxing, and I love that Ronnie like this wife starts doing. That's like the factor. He's like, if my wife thinks it's a bad idea, I'm gonna do it anyways because this is like a tiny bit of rebellion. So
they cucked themselves with the LL Cool J character though. Like he's too funny.
I love him.
I love him too. That's the thing. That's the problem though. He's too charismatic. Nobody wants him to die. So when he lives, it's a fucking joke.
Spoilers.
Dude, it's a fucking 20-year-old movie. I'm a spoiler. It's 25 actually. 25-year-old movie. guess what? It ain't a spoiler unless that movie's under a year old. I don't. It doesn't count as a spoiler.
This is a pretty good jump scare. I
I
think
like
the
it.
one that's coming up it's good.
I
I
like the
really
Halloween vibes. I mean, like we're in California, and there's like the visual language is like there. It doesn't look very Halloweenish, but I do like that they got
no.
the young kids trick or treating. That helps to remind us that because this could be any fucking summer day. Because it's
Yeah.
California. This could be July. This could
Nope.
be August.
Here's the second
Right
one.
there.
I love this guy. He played in Sons of Anarchy, the
Yeah.
motorcycle TV show. Later on, he actually played a real piece of shit white supremacist guy. But
Yeah.
I think he's a great character. I actually believe that he would be with Laurie Strode, and I find
Yeah.
it believable that she'd find him attractive because
Yeah.
he's got like these good looks for like a late or
Yeah.
early 40-year-old type guy.
It's a very believable middle-age romance. Like,
very much
this
so.
is not the dude that she would have married in her 20s, but this is very much the dude that she would like, okay, I need to date him because the guy that I married who turned out to be like a meth head and alcoholic, he impregnated me and beat me. And he made
At the same
money.
time.
Yeah, at the same, like with his dick still in me, he was hitting me. And the idea is that she finally gets away from the piece of shit guy that she thought was attractive when she was 17. And like this cuck got zero sex during high school, but
zero
like
sex.
Zero. And then during his 20s, also zero sex, but he went to college. He got a good degree. He got a master's degree. He worked on his portfolio. He put money into his Roth IRA. This guy is he's got money. B, he's stable. And now that she's kind of getting past that, like the douchebag guy who knocked her up, this is the guy who picks up the sloppy seconds. And it's so believable. You're right.
But
it is beyond believable.
By the way, I totally had like 7 things written down for that whole beginning. I didn't say one of them. I didn't say one of them. Really quickly
today. I actually watched this again earlier today, and I prepped some shit to say.
So, really quickly, their Carnfield Moreno estate in Los Angeles was used for the school. This home would later appear in Scream 3 as John Milton's home when he was shot. So yeah, it's that's
that Scream shit coming up. How do you feel about even though they're out in the town now, the town features this scene alone is the only scene where they're actually like out in public. The bulk of the action of this film takes place in that boarding school that's cloistered. It's walled in. Here's where we see that she is kind of an alcoholic. She wants more wine, and she's got a full glass. And he's sitting there judging.
I love it.
He's judging. He's like, "Oh shit! Like it's the middle of the day. This bitch is getting loaded." And
I hope she's not teaching a bunch of kids.
Well,
I love that.
October 31st, Halloween, 1998 was a Saturday. So technically, this is a Saturday. And they had class on a fucking Saturday, which they don't do in boarding schools. Boarding schools typically observe a normal week, and they normally have structured activity on Saturdays, but it's not classes. But at any rate,
she's such an alcoholic, by the way, that she knew that when he went to the bathroom that she could chug in a bottle glass wine really quick. But then she not only did that, but she took extra sips because she had to match the amount that she had when he left. So she really thought this out.
That's excellent attention to detail for not just her like within the diegesis of the film, but actually the filmmakers realizing that like, oh, okay, she's got a like whoever wrote that is probably an alcoholic as well, right?
A little off-campus lunch.
Yeah,
you too. I do like the scene. I love the scene right here.
I like how she sends the other kid, the little ratty kid, away.
Yes.
And then she turns on him and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. That's a good scene. Ready? Right here.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Oh, it's good. It's good because earlier she was downplaying, Halloween. She's like, "Oh, is it Halloween?" And then like he's like, "Yeah, mom, shut the fuck up." So then like she really shows her true color. She gets 2 glasses of wine and she's like, "Fuck this! It's fucking Halloween, you motherfucker!"
I will also say that I give her a lot of credit for this film because if I was in her shoes and I was talking about this, like, you need to stay close, you need to be safe, and you need to stop being so cavalier about Halloween. And he's like, shut up, mom. You know, Michael Myers is long gone, whatever. and he just blows me off for 20 years. When Michael Myers starts showing up and killing his buddies, I'm like, I fucking told you. I fucking told you. And you didn't fucking. The whole last half of this movie, every line of dialogue out of my mouth would be like, I fucking told you.
Fucking told you.
I'd be hitting Michael Myers with the fire extinguisher, being like, I fucking told you.
Told you.
I told you he was coming back. I fucking told you. When I went to check on them, I'd be like, I fucking told you. You should have fucking listened to me. I would never stop telling people that I told them so. Because I'm not very gracious. I'm an awful person.
I'm so like fucking petty. I find it to be a very poignant
I'm fucking Tom Petty
thing for Josh Hartnett to say when they're having an argument and he's like, Mom, I'm not responsible for you. I think that's like really encapsulates everything about this character. He's been taking care of his mom for so long because she couldn't, even though she was taking care of him in all the right ways, but he, like, emotionally speaking, he's been taking care of her for fucking 16 years.
He sort of had to take this parental role of
emotional parental role because she just didn't. Apparently they really like that Mr. Sandman song for good reasons.
They do like that, man. They paid to get the rights, so you got to play it. All right, hey, I'm gonna go.
How did he know he was there? Really quickly. How did he know he was there?
So talk amongst yourselves for a second, okay?
That's fine.
I'm not gonna be able to hear you. I'll be able to. My mic will still be working, so you can.
Don't worry about it. I got you. You go get a beer. So for
you can hear me throw these beers away and open my fridge.
So Jason's dick is at least 12 inches hard. I just want to put it out there. So I do like this as well because even though he was risking his job, even though he really kind of put on the line to help Josh Hartnett's character in the movie, because he like sees, Jamie Lee Curtis and how she kind of is, how she like is overbearing and things like that. And he still doesn't rat them out. Like that really speaks eyes up. Yeah. Eyes up.
He didn't rat them out because, like he's a brother. Like he knows you don't fucking rat.
You're the blackest person in this place besides me, Josh Hartnett.
I love the idea of like Josh Hartnett being, because he is kind of the most crackerish. Like he's whiter than I am, and I'm half Norwegian.
There's a big gap under these gates, right? Like it looks like there's a massive gap under this gate.
Like, big gap. That's not keeping a human being's body out. I mean, it'll keep the car out, but it's it's gated only in the most vestigial sense.
By the way, this is Michelle Williams. She is the character that plays Molly, and Michelle Williams had never seen a Halloween film before this, so she literally was like, I need a job so badly. She was doing this. In fact, this job right here is actually not a scene they shot in the movie. This is her working prior to this film,
busting tables.
Busting tables.
Look how young she looks. Look at those cheeks. I just want to
just want to pinch them,
pinch those cheeks. I mean, it's like it's like,
and her face is okay too.
Yeah, I mean, but she's so young here. I mean, she's
so young.
She's I think she's 44 years old now. She's been nominated for 4 Academy Awards. I mean, she really has had quite a career. Out of all the Dawson's Creek people and out of all the people in this movie, she although Jamie Lee Curtis has won an Academy Award at this point, but
she hadn't done a film for 18 years prior to this, though. That's funny. So Josh Hartnett's little stupid map. How does she know what floor it is? Did it say there was a floor on there? She's just like, okay, so there is a hallway section that looks just like this somewhere on campus.
It's like a Zelda map. Like you got to be on the right floor to fucking see the right part of the map. Like,
so here's the thing: is you can actually go to this place, Cansfield Marino State. Would you go there if you're out in California? Would you make an attempt to see this, or is that not your thing? Do you like seeing locations where movies were shot?
I never have gone to like the location of a film, but I imagine that I would for films that I really love, which does not include this film. So,
I think it's cool looking.
Probably not.
I mean, like, but the thing is, like, especially like in Vermont, if there's things shot here, I definitely go to lackluster setup for Halloween. By the way, he's like, I really planned this out. Me good, dude. He like
what did he do? It's like the fucking
nothing. He did nothing. He wrote on that sign right there, and that is what he did.
Like fucking Clerk.
Shine your shoes for me.
I like he put Happy Halloween right above the futon that he's gonna try to fuck her on later.
Oh yeah,
he's like, we're totally fucking. We're gonna fuck. My mom thinks I'm in Yosemite. We're gonna be fucking sleeping on this fucking couch all weekend long.
He's like, let me show you my El Cap really quick. Ha ha, Yosemite joke. Um, but like that couch, in fact, is not really plaid in real life. It's actually square semen stains from all the years. Because that couch is like older than Jamie Lee Curtis, to be fair and
Do you
honest.
suppose that couch crunches when you sit on it? Like
Oh,
you sit
bro,
down and the
like
cushions
it's got like one of those plastic covers your grandma had on her couch, like
yeah.
the to save
It's
that shit, or like
it's like the chocolate dip, like you get the cone from Dairy Queen that they dip in
and
the
you crack
chocolate
it
and
and
it
shit.
solidifies. Yeah, and when you bite into it, it just cracks. Like you just sit on
Yeah.
it, like all the dried semen glaze just like crackles.
So this is the same exact conversation that was being had in the original Halloween. This is where Laurie Strode first saw Michael Myers in the same way that Michelle Williams is sitting in right now. And I
Yeah,
do love
yeah,
the comparison
that's it.
between Frankenstein and Michael Myers. I think that's pretty fucking amazing. It's
The
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein is, and the way the Frankenstein, the way she describes how Frankenstein killed all of her family, or all of Victor's, the Frankenstein's monster killed all of Victor von Frankenstein's family and stripped him down to where he had nothing left but to fight the monster. And he eventually fought the monster. And that parallels Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, Laurie Strode's decision at the end of the film to
Oh,
basically, like, once
yes.
she saves her son, she goes back to fight Michael. She is basically doing the Victor von Frankenstein and going back to face her monster, and so there's very much they're setting this up as this is sort of a parallelism and a allegory for the rest of the film, and that Frankenstein has a monster and Frankenstein has to face his monster as
Mhm.
Laurie Strode has a monster from her past that she has to face, and she successfully does so at the end of the
I
film. So it's foreshadowing, really.
I do like Jamie Lee Curtis's little pivot here. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's very telling,
It's
and
like
it's
a
actually
mom.
very
It's like
honest.
a
It's
real
it's
mom.
very
Yeah,
honest too, like a real mom situation. Like I yelled at my kid, I was a bitch. I said it for no reason. Like
yeah.
I now realize it, and I want to fuck my doctor buddy. Like that
I was being
therapist,
yeah,
dude. He is going to psychiatrist the fuck out of my pussy later, and you can't be around, and I gotta break out my good vodka, you motherfucker. He's gonna
yeah.
fill me up with all the fucking quackeries
I'm
out
gonna get
there.
full of vodka and dick tonight, so I need you to go to Yosemite.
I'm gonna bring a
I'll
he's
have
gonna
you
bring a
full of
pumpkin,
vodka
and
and dick.
I'm gonna shove that in my ass. And I'm metaphorically show artist style what Halloween means to me by making it shit. And he's so happy, so sad, fucking. And she's like, "I'm a good mom." I got an American flag behind me. Mom, change your mind about Yosemite. Um, I I love this fucking movie. It's and I know see the little kicks of the original Halloween score just sprinkled in and
But you have
including
to do. It's
the
really one of the
oh
few things that makes this feel like a Halloween film and not a goddamn Scream.
you mean not the guy with the white mask that keeps popping up
Yeah, the guy
everywhere?
with the white mask that kills people with a knife. Yeah, that movie.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure. Oh, good, thank God. So that's everything. And I like how she at the last second right here is using that 90s phone. Dope as fuck.
I know.
She's
Look at
like,
that
hold
thing.
on.
I had
She
one of
like
those in the fucking 90s.
she sees them leaving. She wants to see him like leave. But like she is now seeing the buses go way the fuck out there. And really
Yeah.
quickly, this is coming up on an amazing scene between her and her mom. It's a beautiful kind of
Yeah.
memory. What's the word I'm looking for here? Tribute to the original Psycho. And she
Yeah.
also says the very first line from or the line from the original 1970 Halloween right here. Everyone's entitled to one good
Everyone's
scare.
entitled to one good stare.
And better, and anyone that has actually seen the original Psycho, not the Gus Van Sant, but the car that she's going to drive away in, that is the actual Psycho car. They
Actual
actually
car. Yeah. Yeah.
tracked that motherfucker down, got it off the guy who owned it, and used it for the film, which is so
Yeah.
cool. If you're a movie nerd, that's the type
So,
of shit that makes your titties hard.
yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think boob jobs is what makes the titties hard.
I
Silicone,
mean,
mostly.
sure. I mean, my pipe's made of silicone. It only makes my dick hard.
Have you
Uh,
felt a fake titty before? They're weird looking,
no,
like
I've
bags of
seen
sand.
them. I've seen them. I've been to a
Oh,
couple strip clubs up in Canada, and you could tell. You could tell
yeah.
it's weird.
Look, they
You're like,
look weird.
huh?
They look
Well,
weird, and they feel as weird as they look. I don't like them.
Oh, no bueno. Oh, look at
No
that.
bueno. But yeah, that is an admirable vehicle right there. It's beautiful to see it. And I will say, like, you know, Halloween is often credited as being the prototypical slasher, and I think it probably
Yes.
does set a lot of the standards
Tropes.
and tropes. Yeah, but I have to think Halloween is not the first slasher. There were Italian
No.
giallo films being made prior to Halloween in the 70s, throughout the 70s, leading up to 78 when Halloween was made. And you have to
I
give Psycho credit. You absolutely have to give Hitchcock credit for the way
by
that
the
he
way,
built suspense, the language, the film language that he used, the visual language that he used, and the precedent that he set for having, a psycho killer stab people to
if
death with knives. I mean,
if I was to see these 3 buses come down, I'd be like, "Oh, look at the retards get to go
yeah,
outside."
yeah.
They're all this is a
Wow,
good scene though, really quick.
it's pretty dark to be taking the retard kids out, right? Like, holy, what if you
What the
lose one of them? Holy shit.
Do you have bells on them? Do you have
He's
lights?
yeah,
Like
he's gonna burrow away in the hills. You won't find him for years.
fucking here's Ronnie still fucking
I
trying
know.
away at that book. And
Fucking
she's
love
supportive
that
this time
show,
though. Hold on, listen, listen, let's listen.
And Tanya laughed at him. You don't expect me to fall for that shit, she said.
I love how
Yeah,
he's
see, that's
entertaining his
real.
wife. Like he and his wife have such a beautiful, like almost screwball comedy level of rapport. Like I would watch a movie
Yes.
about him and his wife that had nothing to do with Michael Myers, but he's so not right for this
No
movie.
way.
As
I
much
I
as I
would
love
say
him, he is
I would
wrong for
love
this film.
I would love Michael Myers there because she'd be like, "Oh, you better get away from Michael Myers. He ain't gonna go for those melanous breasts." Like
You
it'd
know
be
you better
amazing.
take the day off on Halloween, October the 31st. You better use that day of PTO, motherfucker. You
that
go
white
home and
that
work
white
on
bitch
your
has almost been killed 4 times
yeah,
now. You ain't gonna
yeah.
work for her.
Don't be fucking hanging around that white bitch on Halloween. That
Fuck.
man gonna come
So
and try to stab her,
I
and you know he
I
gonna stab your black ass.
I don't understand the scene. I understand the scene. Like I understand everything about it. He's gonna break in, but like Ronnie's gonna go back in here and the car's gonna shut off, and I don't understand it. So
And
when that
Michael
comes,
Myers again
he
cucked.
doesn't kill him. Yeah, he
Like,
didn't. He just
the writers cucked Michael Myers because it's cool to see Michael Myers kind of silently, stealthily sneak past someone. But
yes.
like, why does he go to the trouble in the beginning of the film to kill the 2 teenagers and Marion Chambers, which is just going to set the cops off on a trail to try to find him? If all he had done was stolen the file and sneakily like slunk away, the cops wouldn't be looking for him because he's not a murderer. They're not looking for a murderer at that point.
I
They're just
don't.
thinking, oh, this file went missing. No one's going to track him to California, but you kill 3 people at the beginning of the movie. He's got the cops after him. Why does he let
Really,
LL Cool J live here? It makes no
really quick.
sense, and it's inconsistent with his character from the first
So
10 minutes of the movie.
really quickly, this didn't make any sense. Light shut off. That makes no sense. But really quickly, listen to what the sound that it's Michael Myers clumsy this movie because the tap happens. Just hold on. Just let it play. Hold on.
I think
Like
he made
what?
that sound on purpose. He wanted him to hear. I
But
mean,
yeah, but that
Michael
makes no
Myers,
sense because yeah.
part of Michael Myers' thing, and this is established in the first film, is that he likes to stage things. He likes the drama and the circumstance, the pomp and circumstance of Halloween. You know, the way he stole Judith Meyer's headstone in the first movie and then put it on the bed.
Yes.
And
All
then he
right.
comes in
All
dressed as
right.
a ghost. So I think he gets a little bit of a kick out of the accoutrement that go with Halloween. The idea of
Mhm.
scaring people on Halloween is like part of his vibe. It's like he gets his rocks off from freaking people out and sort of setting things up in a particular way.
So nobody's at this fucking school right now, but she just hears a clang and behind her, and she doesn't even bother to be like, "Huh, wonder what that was." She just keeps on trucking, and she doesn't like have a flashlight or anything. Like she just shut off all the lights. Like totally, I'm scared of October 31st, but I'm not gonna fucking use
Yeah,
flashlight. I'm not gonna
yeah.
make it any easier for me to see in
I
this
would have
dark.
told the old lady, like, "Can you fucking lock up, bitch? I'm fucking scared of Halloween, dude.
I'm going PTO, Ronnie and me PTO
Mom, I
today.
need you to fucking lock up," because that's her mom in real life.
Oh, so here's a cool scene because it's a little bit of like tribute to the movie that basically got them in place. And also Scream was showing Halloween, and guess what Halloween's going to show here in a couple minutes. I like this scene as well. This whole the boyfriend walking, and it's
Yeah.
like she's like, no, it's my imagination. He's still coming. Like it's cool, but her eyes are playing tricks on her because she doesn't want to see Michael, but she wants to see Michael. She's been seeing Michael forever.
That, and she's also had like a bottle and a half of vodka and like 3 bottles of wine
in her
like,
pussy.
I mean, in all fairness to her, she is absolutely fucking hammered
drunk
right now. So just trying to be fair to her because she is shit faced.
Her Betty Page haircut's not Betty Page. Her like what's that short haircut? What's that called?
It's like a pixie, but it's like even shorter than. I mean, it's basically look. She basically what women do, and a lot of women
in
do
the 90s.
Well, no, I mean, I think even nowadays, when women get old enough, when they hit a certain age, where they decide that utility comes before looks, they look at all the dudes in their whole life and they think, for 50 years, every dude I've ever known has had a fucking 2-inch haircut, and it takes him all of 5 seconds. No, there you go. But is that was what's her name? Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's I Know What You Did Last Summer, right?
No, that's Scream 2. Sarah Michelle Gellar was in Scream 2. She was one of the sorority girls. And
she's in Scream 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
And she was Buffy for all those years, which I was.
This is weird. Listen to this line.
What are you 2 up to tonight?
Well, we thought we'd hit the town, pick up some guys, drop some roofies in their drinks, have a whole date rape evening.
That's not even funny. Like, that's not even funny. Like, we're gonna date rape some dudes. Guess what? You got to give them an erection. You don't have to date rape. You don't have to date rape guys. Just look at the guy and say, "Hey, I want your P in my V." You don't have to fucking roofie dudes, okay?
And he didn't smell the cigarettes at all. Like he just didn't like. I know I smoked cigarettes for a long time.
Like, it's the worst way to make her seem edgy. Like, we got to make this character seem edgy. She has to be like all edgy towards the adult guy to show that she doesn't respect his authority and she's not afraid of him. And she's like this edgy, like, oh yeah, we're gonna date rape a whole bunch of dudes. Like, yeah, that's what you tell your fucking male teacher. I like his response though. He's like, I can't come with you because I'm getting my nipples pierced.
At least which is weird to say to kids.
Which is a weird. Yeah, I also thought I was like, were adults saying that to kids in 1990 or just like 1998?
Yeah, look at that.
Here's the shot. Martin Scorsese right here. The fucking camera pulls, and you're gonna see this whole long shot. She's walking through. She's acting the whole time. This is a stellar performance. She should have won an Academy Award for this right here. Look at her down in that vodka.
Oh yeah, and the funny little thing about the scene,
Poland Springs, but look, she makes it seem like real vodka.
Well,
the way she licks that lower lip, the way she wipes her fucking mouth with her fucking sleeve. Jesus Christ. Tour de force. Why did she not win the Academy Award for this? And then she rinses with the Listerine. She's like, whatever. I don't want to smell like vodka. Homeboy's coming over to bone me later.
Now it smells like fucking Dr. McGillicuddy. It's all good. By the way, actually, this movie was sponsored by Everclear. She was sponsored by Everclear, so she's not even drinking vodka. She's drinking fucking straight XXX moonshine.
Grain alcohol.
Oh, let's do this right. Stick this in your butt.
He's like, you're gonna stick this pumpkin in my ass, baby. I'm into the butt stuff.
So Michelle Williams actually became really good friends with Jamie Lee Curtis after this. Jamie Lee Curtis said that she was a very intelligent lady, so they actually maintained a relationship. Nice. This is very much what kids would do in this scenario. They would go and get the leftovers that were, basically like easy to grab, like no frozen pieces, no nothing. See, now it's a little bit more like where all those candles come?
What kind of teenager lights 50 fucking candles? I haven't lit that many candles in my whole fucking life.
It is a lot of candles. But
what 17-year-old is like, I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes lighting candles?
I don't know. Who lights candles? So weird.
He's like, I heard that Stanley Kubrick lit entire scenes from fucking Barry Lyndon with candlelight alone. So let's do this.
I watched this amazing scene in American Werewolf in Paris, and there's a bunch of candles going down to this church. So this is
American
where it is.
Classic, American Werewolf in Paris.
So I just want to call attention to my Headless Horseman candle I have back there. That is my favorite Halloween decoration.
Oh, yeah, dude, it's awesome.
And so is he technically like taking advantage of her? She is like clinically drunk right now. Like we all know this.
No, she's she is definitely failing a sobriety test for sure.
Oh yeah.
She cannot start her car. She has to blow into that thing, to start her car, and she's definitely not starting her car.
She's gonna pull his dick out about 30 seconds and try to blow in it like it's one of those, and he's like, "Oh, you're over the legal limit. Sorry, ma'am." And then no fucking. My real name is Laurie Strode. This is like the first time, and he's acting like he's stoned, by the way.
He is. He's very much acting stoned.
Like, does that scene that we missed, they have him like smoking a joint at one point? And he's typical guy. Take your clothes off. Damn, he's going for it though.
It's almost like he thinks she's kidding at first, but then he eventually believes her, I guess. At the point in time where Michael Myers is burying a fucking 12-inch French knife in his fucking kidney, he's like, oh, I think I believe her now. She must be Laurie Strode. This man in a mask is fucking stabbing me to death. His death scene is fucked up too. I like it.
Oh yeah, he's a good one. I do like this relationship. It's very real. Like it's but the thing is, it kind of is like, was she trying? She's like, I don't want him to come yet. I'm gonna talk about my friends getting murdered. Like that's the thing you do mid-sex, not post or pre-sex, you dumb bitch.
The problem is he ejaculates way too prematurely.
Too quick.
Look, he's stable. He's not a drinker. He doesn't abuse me. He's very respectful. He's got a job. He's got a good IRA. The fact is, he's got a great portfolio, but unfortunately, he busts so fast. So I really have to make up these stories about how I used to be a man. This vagina used to be a penis.
Penis inverted.
This labia is actually made out of my old scrotum skin. It is the only way I can get him to last longer than 60 seconds. And he still comes pretty fast. I mean, in all honesty, he still comes. It's still less than 2 minutes, but we're working on it.
Or better yet, is that the only way he gets hard is by her mentioning how many like this is like her 20th time telling the story. Every time she wants to fuck,
she's like, Christ. I gotta tell him about Michael Myers murdering all of my friends again to get him hard. Yeah.
But when he gets to the scene where I stick him with the coat hanger, he comes and everything's good. They carved that pumpkin fast.
Yeah, he chases me into the closet, and instead of using a knife to beat the door down, he actually bangs the door down with his dick, with his erect cock. That's how I know it's ready to go. That's how I know it's time.
Do you remember that scene from do you remember that scene from Friday the 13th Part 1 with Kevin Bacon? He's Jason Voorhees with a spear. He just rams it right through my body hard and fast.
There is a point where he doesn't really care where he's putting it. He is just violently poking me with his thing.
Have you ever heard about a bed bug? They just ram their dicks and they have a ejaculate that kind of like they cram their penis wherever it goes, and as long as it goes in the abdomen, that's good. That's my boyfriend, and he's really good at doing it. So what 17. Oh yeah, that's right. She's like, I'm 17. She forgot about this, and she's like, oh shit, he's 17. I better double check. He went to Yosemite some way somehow.
Yeah.
This is. Oh, I think it's kind of lazy on their part to do this, just because they know they got to get it going. That's the only reason to do that scene.
My phone's dead.
Yeah, the phone's dead.
Yep.
But
by the way, because yeah, she does still have, but he caught the phone line. Michael Myers is smart enough to know. Oh, she sees it. Not like there's any other sleep bags, or he's going to sleep in his girlfriend's sleeping bag. She's like, nope.
Well, she said in that earlier speech, she's like, no musical sleeping bags, right? Like, you're students here, you're high schoolers still. You're not allowed to fuck each other. I like that she's got a gun, and it's a great gun. I mean, it's a great gun for like this type of purpose.
Yes, they don't jam, but really horrible trigger.
They don't jam. They're very reliable. Look, they only hold 6 shells, but how many do you need? Unfortunately, this numbnuts behind her, the boyfriend, he empties all 6 shells into the goddamn security guard.
He's such an asshole. He's such an asshole.
Just put one out. Like, look, if you hit him the first time, great. If he drops, fine. You don't need to put 5 more in him. Wait till he gets up. Put the second one in him. You know, you can tell he's an amateur. I don't know why she gave him the gun, because she's Sarah Connor.
Because he took it. He's like, "You're a fucking woman. Get out of the way!" And he like rips it out of her hands and shit.
I love the misogyny. He's like, "Give me this. I'm a man."
Yeah, fucking, I got a dick.
Though with Arnold Schwarzenegger once 10 years ago.
I gotta say, like, it's. I mean, it's kind of like this with every horror movie, but Halloween, the killing was kind of like strung out throughout the entire movie.
Is actually shorter than she is.
She is. He definitely is. He looks like a retarded beetle.
Okay, but
I keep going to like.
How many girls do you know that are willing to have sex with dudes that are younger than them? They don't do it.
It's a good question.
Especially high school.
Sometimes
they don't do it.
Definitely not high school girls, but like the the chase and all that stuff, it really only takes up like last like 20 minutes of the movie. Like
Here's
that
where
is
they cuck
all
Michael as well. The writers are fucking desperate to cuck Michael during this movie because they cuck him here. Because it's like, Michael's there. They show Michael actually walk behind the dude, and then the dude starts, he puts his hand down the disposal, right? The incinerator. And and he fucking retrieves his hand, no problem. Look at this.
Who does that?
What the device does. Look, there's Michael, and he's gonna reach down there. Michael's just gonna politely wait till he's done. That's a bitch move. Get in there, fucking hold his hand in that fucking thing, and then
that's not Michael though.
Switch.
They just want to, like, he can't find it first of all, but like he has to double check. He's like, don't that thing turn on. Michael's all about the knives, man. He's waiting for the right opportunity. He's a showman. Remember?
Even still, that would be fucking baller. Like, hold that guy's hand in there and fucking watch that thing turn into mush.
He did wait a long time to stab him, but like once again,
look at that CG right there. That's terrible. That is god awful.
It's not CG the entire time.
No, just that shot, and it's god awful.
It is pretty god awful. You're not wrong, dude. 98 was not cooking it with the CG yet, even though Men in Black did come out not too long after this. So,
Men in Black. I mean, Men in Black has a classic soundtrack by the great Will Smith,
who you don't talk about his wife. I do like the
definitely don't talk about his slut ass wife. His hoe ass
wife's name,
dick sucking wife.
Goddamn man.
Do not say anything about Jada Pinkett. He will get on a plane, fly to New England, then take a 2-hour Uber to Vermont and slap you in the fucking mouth.
I don't like this part. This like very Scream-esque kind of like twisting of the camera as she's walking and stuff. It like fun house kind of like wonky step. I do like this. I think this is fucking awesome. Yeah.
There are so many deaths in this movie that you don't actually see that like occur off camera. It's kind of bitch made as well.
Well, that was also a little bit of a Scream thing too. Once again, Kevin Williamson's all over this motherfucker. I love this. I think this is great.
Tell him to go get all over his wife and get off of my Halloween movies, dude.
Like her kill,
18.
Her death. I don't think Michael would do that, but her death is very Michael Myers. Like he's opportunistic killer. So like he sees an opportunity in the dumbwaiter. It's an old technology. It's based off this rope. If I cut the rope, something bad happens. So that makes sense to me as far as the character, which if that makes any sense at all. And come on, how strong are your pants, lady? Come on, pull it. But like,
oof.
Boom.
That
Ooh. But now I think her leg might rip off if that was the case.
I definitely think she's not walking on that leg again anytime soon.
Her fucking soccer career is way over.
I feel like all those candles is kind of a fire hazard too.
Oh,
like you're in
dude,
some fucking basement, you got shit hanging off the wall that's quite flammable, and you got candles right near that flammable shit you got hung on the wall. Like you got to be careful, man. The semen on that couch alone is going to light that thing up like paraffin. Like that thing is going to light up like a fucking fire starter. If you drop, I don't know why I think cum is so flammable, but cum is obviously
super flammable because people are flammable and cum is pre-kids or pre-people. And she's like, oh fuck, like he wasn't gonna come up the stairs. Like it's amazing to me. But if the fire marshal came in at that exact moment with all those candles, he would be more upset about the actual amount of candles than he would about the underage sex that was happening.
Yeah.
Very Michael.
Well, I mean, the fire marshal really has nothing to do with the underage sex. That's not his jurisdiction.
I mean, he probably appreciates it like we do. You know, I mean, someone banging.
He's probably like thumbs up. I was underage at one point in time, and I liked having sex at that point, and there we go. He would have high-fived Josh Hartnett. He'd be like, "Yo, let me smell your fingers."
So I do like the visual. I do like this visual.
This visual is actually this is one of the better like horror visuals of this film. And first, you got blood all over the floor, which really in Halloween 78. The original Halloween, despite the kills, was relatively bloodless. There wasn't a lot of like leaking of fluids out of people, but that's like a trail across the floor. I mean, that's like a gallon of blood
They
smeared
let you
across.
Your imagination more, because it's always scarier when your imagination tells you what it is. But the scene right here is what we're referring to. It's very impractical, but it's fucking awesome. Ready?
Yeah, I mean, as if this thing would suspend her body weight, but whatever.
She's
I like how it lights up inside her. I mean, like, I don't know how he did that, but it's almost as cool as the kill from 2018 where he hollows out the cop's head and puts the light inside it to make it look like some fucked up jack-o'-lantern.
That must have been a Kevin Williamson thing, because something similar happens to Drew Barrymore in the original Scream.
Yeah,
she gets
they
hung
hang
from a
her,
tree
he
with her
hangs her up
intestines
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So he must be a fan of that kill. This is so realistic. Like, and this is actually based off a real experience that Kevin Williamson had when he was trying to get away from a mugger in New York City and he dropped his keys.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote that down.
This is smart writing too, because you know what you have here is a pretty, like, you know, you're looking at 17, 18-year-old Josh Hartnett. The idea that he's going to go up against, I mean, he's an athletic guy, he's well built, he's not weak, he's not a pussy, he's at least 6 feet tall. Like, you know, the idea is he could go to toe to toe with Michael Myers and do pretty well. It's actually kind of smart that they wrote in that he gets stabbed, because now he can no longer kind of rival Michael Myers athletically. He can't really go toe to toe with him anymore because he's been handicapped. Yeah. Right. So he can't fight Michael Myers. He gets a few good punches in, but, like, you know, 17-year-old guy who's that fit and that athletic, he's probably going to kick the shit out of a 45-year-old dude.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea that they got him stabbed, it makes a lot of sense.
And by the way, just a little tidbit. It's real, man. Like, this is the time that your keys would drop.
Yep.
The tension.
I drop keys all the fucking time.
But do you think? Yeah, Michael's not retarded or anything, so he could probably figure out the key thing. This is cool. He just wants to kill them so badly. He's like, you're within arm reach.
It's almost like he's just trying to see if he can get close enough. Like, if he can slash them, cool. But then when he realizes he's not going to reach them, he pulls the knife out and he's like, all right, I got to unlock the fucking door. Because he drove cross country for this shit. I mean, he drove from fucking, the gayest thing about this movie is that he drove from fucking Illinois to California.
Shuts the girlfriend out really quick. She's like, no.
Mask on the whole time? Did he?
Oh, fuck yes, he did.
So you think he stopped to fill up for gas? He stopped to put gas in the car and kept the fucking mask on? How did he pay for said gas? How did he put gas?
Pay for it. He's a rebel without a cause, bro. He's James Dean. He just does what he pleases.
Do you want to explain to me the mechanic by which he stole gasoline?
He went out to the pump, and it was probably a state that didn't insist that it's not New Jersey. He didn't have to have the intent to do it for him. He just went out there, pretended like he was going to go in and pay.
You still gotta scan your shit. You still gotta go. I mean, even in the 90s, I remember driving in the 90s. I drove in the 90s. You either had to swipe your card at the thing, or you had to go in and prepay.
See,
if you wanted
maybe that's because where you grew up, because
free, like, you're just going to put gas in your car and then drive off.
That was absolutely a thing up here, like up until like the early 2000s. That was the thing. You could like just show up, pump gas, because people would pay in cash and shit. But then slowly, steadily, you know, more and more people, stole. And I like the part where he's like, what do we do? Try to live. Oh,
you like that line? What do we do? Try to live. I like how he takes the gun from her and then he proceeds to shoot the black guy. This dude is totally racist.
That's why they cast him in Sons of Anarchy. They're like, we saw we did LL Cool J. Shot that.
He's like, wait a minute, I see a black guy. Give me his gun, honey. I'm gonna fucking shit.
He's gonna rob us.
All of a sudden, he's like, you didn't know I used to be a cop. I'm gonna go put my knee on his neck. Just for good measure.
I used to be a cop in New York City. Fucking, I love black guys.
My knee on his neck for good measure.
And not only that, but he's a horrible shot. Oh, yeah, you deserve this. Racist piece of shit.
Racist piece of shit. How dare you shoot LL Cool J? This is a great death scene because he's like shaking and convulsing.
Yeah.
Nobody really puts it in. Like, look at him. He's fucking jiggling and shit. He's fucking bleeding out of his mouth. I mean, that's excellent right there.
Yeah. True story, no
I mean, he
fiction.
really does give it his all. This is smart of Jamie
Great.
Lee Curtis too, because she got the blood on her hand. But she
Fuck,
touches
I
the
love
door.
it.
Look, she touches the door. She gets the blood smear on the door.
Yeah, trick that motherfucker.
Trick that motherfucker. Look, the blood's
There's a
dripping off.
lot of blood on that doorknob. Look at Michael. He's like, fuck that. I go through doors a lot quicker now.
Yeah. Dude, she nails him with that, and she commits the sin as well. She hits him very hard with a fire extinguisher. He's down. He's stunned.
Keeping him.
You could hit him 4, 5, 6 times. The cops aren't gonna blame you for fucking crushing his skull.
No, I do like the scene that's coming up with her and never mind, that's actually a little bit farther, sorry. But there's a cool line when they get to the car, which is actually, I think, the same line that they stole from Scream or similar to it. Like, go down the road, drive to the Mackenzies or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this movie really, really goes quick. Like, we are at the last like 10 minutes, guys.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick, tight movie. I'll give them credit for that.
Like, there's literally 9 minutes left of this, and there's credits on that too. I just want you guys to know that.
That
oh
is
no,
true.
she calls
that
them. She says the Beckers. The Beckers is what she calls them. Pop that clutch, girl. Fucking. Oh, we're coming up to it. We're coming up to it. So we've been talking a lot through this movie, but I am gonna insist that once she sends the kids away, that we be quiet at least until the score kicks on, like kind of hard. When she says the second Michael, we can go back to it, but I do want to see that one scene.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That whole part? That's like 45 minutes.
It's yeah. I mean, it is like an hour and a half long.
For 45 minutes.
I'm just saying, like, to get the real effect, to feel what I got to feel to like defend this at the end, I really need that.
Yeah. So here she is. She's Victor von Frankenstein, and she is facing her monster.
She seals the fucking deal by making it so she can't bitch out.
It's almost like in the Halloween where she starts activating all of the things to drop him down to close Michael Myers in. She's like, I'm fucking locking him in. I don't want him getting out, even though he could hop that fence pretty easily.
Okay, right here. That's so great. I'm sorry. That just is an amazing fucking scene. Like the point where she is broken. She's like, you have taken everything from me. You're not going to take this too. I don't care if you kill me, but you are not taking the boy. And she fucking goes to face him, fucking axe in hand. She did like, I love just kind of.
I like how he's. Did he just quiet? He's just been up there for 20 minutes. He just fucking. He just drops down slowly, like I'm fucking glad I've been waiting up here for 30 minutes.
And the thing is, when I think about this movie, these are the two scenes I think about. I think about the one that I just insisted that we all be quiet. Don't take the axe, Michael. This too not a good enough weapon.
I know. I thought that. Like, but yeah, you better stick with the French knife. Just fucking put the axe down. Don't upgrade, right?
No, do not diverse. Like, don't change your portfolio at all. I like the scene with the tables really quick, but the scene at the very end, that is like when I think about this movie, I think about the scene with her grabbing the axe and the scene at the very, very end. Because of course the score kicks in, which is awesome, but like this whole scene with the tables is kind of dope as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. Fucking like, where'd he go? Where he ain't around? Fucking, I can't see him. I'm under the table. Where could he be? If I can't see his feet, he wouldn't be
on top of the fucking table. Logic dictates. Although, how do you get up on the table without making a fucking sound? You make sound when you get up on the table. Michael Myers is like 45 in this movie. I'd be like fucking grunting and shit and groaning and like I gotta climb on top of something. I'm like, ugh.
I like how she tricks.
I'm like holding my balls the whole time.
Kicks chair a little bit, and he's like, "Must be behind me." Nope, right there. fucking just walk on top of these tables like they're fucking stairs. I'm very impressed none of those tables flipped. They're cheap tables.
They're very cheap tables. They don't really hold your weight very well at all. And here he's like, well, fuck it. Like, let me just turn them all over.
I'm a fucking killer. I don't care about your table setup. Fuck your silverware. Yeah, California.
There you go.
That's so American.
His ass like he's a vampire, you know? Fucking.
And she's like, ugh.
Kind of just throws it at him.
She's like, I'm gonna give away the only thing I have to defend myself right now.
Like,
I'll take my chances with nothing.
I was gonna harpoon him.
He is the white whale. It was a real callback to fucking.
Look, she is a bit of a Captain Ahab here.
A little bit.
I like a white whale.
Don't. And by the way, don't like. Why? Why do you have to dump him out?
I love how she throws the fucking knives, like fucking what's his name in fucking Gangs in New York, right? She's like the butcher in Gangs in New York. She's throwing knives at him. I hate the fact. Look, I want to say what a piece of shit this movie is for being able to see Michael's eyes throughout the film. Being able to see his eyes, like he looks like Paul Reiser from fucking what's that movie? What's that show called? What's the one he did with Helen Hunt? That's what Michael Myers looks like in this movie. It looks like Paul Reiser.
Stab him. This is so Freudian. She's like, I'm gonna fuck you like you fucked me, but my dick is a knife. Yeah, Dr. Loomis, that motherfucker.
Dude, he got that fucking knife sticking right out his chest too, man. That's excellent.
Oh yeah, dude,
it's like still there. He's
hard.
like, fuck it.
And now she's like, I am Michael Myers. It runs in the
family. That's like going into Freddy Krueger's dream to fuck with him, right? Like Freddy Krueger takes a nap, and you're like, I'm gonna fuck you up, old man.
Ronnie, for being a fucking G the entire movie, does the dumbest thing on the planet. She's rolling up the fucking.
He does the whitest fucking thing. Like I no black man I have ever met or seen on the internet is ever like, hey, stop hitting the white guy. He'd be like, yo, let me fucking stomp on his head too, motherfucker.
I'm gonna Edward Norton that motherfucker right on the curb.
Edward Norton is fucking white murderer, dude. Like, let's fucking
bite the curb, Whitey.
Exactly.
It's pretty good. But so like she rolls up, her brother is knocked out, which he got an axe to him, and that didn't take care of it. But she's like, and I like the mask. The mask looks good now after it's been a little beaten up and shit. So she's rolling down here. She's gonna fucking. That is a really shiny wound you have right there, Jamie Lee. The fucking light like kind of flashed off of it. Pulls it out of him. Doesn't use the other knife. It has to be the knife that she has to pull out. She's like, this is not gonna, illy affect the situation at all.
It makes a certain amount of medical sense. If you remove the blade, he starts bleeding more. Like don't pull it out because he's gonna. Like they always tell you, leave it in there because if you pull it out, you're gonna start fucking bleeding and shit. Maybe she's thinking, and I don't know why he drug her off. Like, who the fuck is this? The black guy's gonna drag the white girl away. He'd be like, "Fuck him up, take your top off." Like, I got bands on this shit. Take your top off. Fucking let me stop that white boy. Fucking, I love how he's got the fucking.
Yeah, he throws Thriller in there, and she's like, "I love you."
It is the dumbest. Like honestly, he is the dumbest fucking character in this whole fucking movie. It's stupid. I don't like seeing Michael Myers' eyes. Look at that shit.
No, I don't like that scene. I don't like that scene at all. And he doesn't even look like he has old eyes. He's supposed to be old as shit, and he's got like eyes of a 20-year-old. This is a pretty good scene. I'm gonna fucking threaten some cops. All those officers, and they're like, "We have 100 guns. You have one, but and shut the door now. Shut that door. Letting the draft in." This is a good scene, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I kind of like the fact that she's like, no, I know what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna let it fucking happen. In fact, I'm gonna call him out. I'm gonna get his black ass up, and I'm gonna fucking kill this motherfucker finally.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna chop his fucking head off, and I'm not gonna go to jail for absconding with the car and fucking
pulling the gun on the cops.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get in any trouble at all for chopping this motherfucker's head off, even though he's a suspect in murders and he's in the custody of the police. I'm just gonna steal him from the police and chop his head off, and then I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna stay out of jail.
I like how like at first you can't tell if it's him moving or if it's the car. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, little thing. But how would he know to stop? Eli's just like so concussed at that moment. He's just like, what? Back out. How great would it be if he had a boner? That's
know,
all you
right?
saw. Just that.
I mean, you
no,
gotta think
no-
like Michael Myers. He probably does get an erection when he's doing all his killing,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's very famous that serial killers get sexually aroused when they kill people. So he'd be
Exactly.
rock hard the entire time.
Otherwise, why would you murder people if it didn't get you like rock hard?
Question. If that was his dick that peeled it across
And
instead of his
not even,
hand.
I know, right? She's not even wearing her seatbelt either. Look at this shit.
No, dummy. That's how a lot of people die.
I know. Fucking put your seatbelt on. This is dangerous. Got no respect for her own safety.
Come on, get up.
Why do you need him to get up? You could still run him over. He could
I
go
know,
right
that-
underneath the wheels.
That is very true, but it leads up to the better scene, in my opinion. Like this end scene, yeah. My video is like a millisecond behind yours, by the way. So like I hear everything double, which is good for the music. It does it in stereo.
Yeah, you got to turn you got to mute yours and listen to mine.
Then
that way
like
you
Japanese film.
Yeah.
It'd be like Godzilla.
He gets crushed by the car, which I love.
Oh yeah.
I love that she somehow miraculously survives.
Oh fuck yeah, she's tough as shit. She's Sarah Connor. She really looks like Sarah Connor right now too.
Kind of does a little bit.
Fucking, I'm sure James Cameron called Jamie Lee. He's like, "You owe me money."
Yeah,
like lots of money.
Bitch, you infringed on my copyright.
Fucking, what's her name? What was the Sarah Connor's name?
Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton. Little Hamilton shows up. She's like, "What? You stunt doubling me, whore? Is that what you're doing?" Like she's all ripped up, but her boobs are still in. What the fuck? Like you're sure?
That's what I'm saying. Like you get in a wreck like that, your titties are coming out. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the first rule of crashing in a car club is titties come out. This is a good one, and I love the very, very end of the scene. They will be my biggest defense points of this movie. Like it because there's a lot of inexcusable things. We saw a lot of stuff that you were taking it. I appreciate you taking it easy on it the entire time. Like you were really like you could have cutler it into this movie, but you're like, no, Tom likes it a lot. I won't eat it alive as hard as I
Tom,
could. I hate this. This is my least favorite part of this amazing scene. Is because of fucking Mustafa Card. They're like, no, rule is we can't kill Michael. We have to have a scene where it could potentially lead into another one. So if it wasn't for that, he would not be doing the head touching thing. He wouldn't be the reaching out. He would just be staring. He might do both. He might be reaching out to like strangle her, which makes sense, but not what it implies, unfortunately. And right here, this is kind of cool. And like, I don't believe that she would do this either, though.
Yeah.
But it leads to a great scene. Like this whole like, I'm gonna touch my brother really quick. No, he's killed so many people he love. But this scene, I believe, right here.
Minus the fact that even experienced, trained executioners can't whack someone's head off at the first go with a fucking axe. Dude, the axe isn't even the same width as his neck. What the fuck? Come on, man.
His neck was barely hanging on at that point. Like he's old. Like it's all skin and bones and shit.
I know he old and shit, but it still take a lot more than just like one whack with a fucking axe. Those axes aren't even designed to cut through a fucking neck.
I mean, they're made to cut through doors, so if you can cut through a door, cut through a neck, Jason.
Yeah, like a piece of wood, but dude, she swung that thing like a fucking samurai. I'm telling you what, it should have been a katana. That's some bullshit. I'm just saying. Like, how are you gonna fucking one arm cut his fucking head off? She weighs 120 pounds. How's she built to generate enough force?
Ever since she met the man that came from the future and showed her the T-1000, or so the T-800, she's been training this whole time for the inevitable day when another Arnold Schwarzenegger would come after her and try to kill her. So she's been training to cut off a head with one swing. She's not a
Right,
bitch, Jason. We're bitches.
Let's also talk about how terrible this movie is for playing Creed. Get the fuck out of here. That's more 90s than that puka shell necklace fucking Josh Hartnett was wearing the whole movie.
Scream 3 did it. They played Creed. They actually have the best Creed song of all time. No.
Wait,
They have
there is no best Creed song of all time. What do you mean best Creed song of all time?
What if?
There's a best Creed song. They're all shit.
What if? No. What if is the name of the song, and it's a fantastic song. It really is. Like I want you to. Do you know that song?
It's Creed. They all sound the same.
You're such an asshole.
I love it. Sound racist, but they all sound the same.
So you've watched it like what? This movie 3 times now, in between when we first talked about it and now?
I have watched this film. This is the 3rd time I have watched it this year.
Yeah. I have. So you're going to be obviously a little bit more over the film as it is. The fact that you've had to watch it 3 times now, do you feel like that's kind of like influencing your commentary?
Yeah, for sure. It does. I think the more you watch a film, at least for me personally, the more I watch a film, the more I like it. Even if I hated it to begin with, the more I watch it, the more it kind of grows on me and I start to appreciate things. And even if I hate the movie, it's still like, well, this was stupid, but also kind of cute or kind of kitschy or whatever. It's part of the character of the film. And this is that film. This is that movie where it's like I don't approve of Creed being played right now. This is terrible. But at the same time, it's Halloween. It's H2O, all right? It's the water movie.
It's Scream H2O.
Fucking Halloween, the way of water.
So you got, I mean, I don't know how much you saw of me while this movie was playing. Like, but I'm sure there was a scene or two you must have like, especially where I was like, shh, let's like where you could see the utter joy on my face.
Childlike
and like
wonder.
the warm blanket of nostalgia. And again, like do those scenes do anything for you? The scene where she cuts off his head and the score kicks on, and the scene where she breaks the glass, takes the axe, and starts like walking to her destiny. Do those scenes do anything for you, even seeing it 3 times?
I mean, I certainly think the scene where she breaks the glass, she breaks the thing so Michael can't get out, at least in a car. And, she locks the gate by breaking the gate thing, which might be problematic when the cops show up. But then, you also might be problematic when the cops show up and they can't get in to save your ass. And she gets the axe, and that's kind of badass because, like, all right, she's nutting up, right? She's going to face this thing that she's been so scared of, that's driven her to alcoholism, that's kind of ostracized her child a little bit. But then on the other hand, it's like, like where she cuts his head off at the end. I don't know. To me, it's like the Halloween movies, particularly the first one, are so great because of their kind of ambiguous ending. And I know Mustafa Akkad was like, hey, you can't kill off Michael Myers because we got to have blah, blah, blah. We got to leave it open for a sequel. But I almost think that the first one, where it was you could do whatever you want because it's John Carpenter making a film, they didn't kill him off. They left it open because it's almost a little bit more scary that way. The boogeyman is still out there,
Yeah.
So,
the funny thing is, she started drinking because of this, but do you know how she celebrated cutting his head off? Big old tall glass of vodka. That shit doesn't go away.
Sure.
That alcoholism that she
that's the problem with alcoholism.
She starts getting the shakes.
Yeah.
Fucking, she looked at her boyfriend shaking on the knife. She's like, "Yeah, I feel you every morning, buddy."
You. It's been about 5 minutes since I've had a drink. No shit. Yeah. That is fucking it, dude.
I love it. Big shout out to Dimension Films. Like they kind of partnered up with, not Harvey Weinstein, fuck that guy, but Dimension Films as a whole, like being the horror section of the Weinstein company. Like Mazel Tov, you guys kind of like jumped in and almost kind of sort of saved the franchise with those fucking big bucks.
Are you giving Harvey Weinstein credit?
No. Dimension Films.
Did you just say Harvey Weinstein is your own personal hero?
Jesus, Lord and Savior.
He is.
Yeah.
That you are a tremendous fan of Harvey Weinstein even today.
So you're saying that Movie Mass is not the Church of Harvey Weinstein? I am in the wrong place. I am so sorry.
Regrettably, No.
There's so many more dicks in the room. Fucking, I loved it. I love that film. Once again, I think it's a pretty damn good ending to the Laurie Strode story. It's a real shame that they kind of fucked her and did her dry. Not Laurie Strode, which probably did too, but like the honorable and effective and downright like what's the other adjective I'm looking for? Fucking just perfect.
Tarnished, horny.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just throwing adjectives out there.
Rock hard. Yeah. This is how it goes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you normally do. This part of the show.
Yeah, this is the part of the film where we have just watched the film. It is time to kind of like final impressions. How do you feel about it? Like, I will say that, I think that this film is very much a product of its time. It's very hard to watch this and not think about 1998 and what else was kind of going on film historically wise. But then, I also have a bit of a problem with this film coming after Halloween H20, Halloween 2 from 1981. Because I think if this had been a direct sequel to the first Halloween, like 2018, if it had ignored Halloween 2, I think it would have been more believable because, you've got images of Michael Myers on fire, completely engulfed in flame, and somehow he's back 20 years later. Not only is he in fighting condition, but also like he would have had fucking nerve damage. He would have been so fucked up, even if he survived that blaze, that he wouldn't be fighting anyone, stabbing people to death ever for the rest of his life because he would have been bedridden. But on top of that, for some reason, the mask is back and the clothes. What has he been doing for the last 20 years? I really have a problem with them just kind of jumping into this movie without any kind of explanation of what he was doing for the 20 years, how he survived, and
we know what he was doing.
Why the mask and the clothes are in like one piece. What the fuck?
So, first of all, they had to do number 2 because otherwise they would just have number 1. And number 1 is just Michael Myers escaping the psycho, the fucking quack house, the crazy place, and he goes back to his hometown to be in his house. That is his main goal, and to desecrate the fucking remains of his sister, and Laurie Strode and her friends are just victims of happenstance. They just kind of stumbled upon, and they suffer the wrath of Michael Myers. He's not going after him for any particular reason. And number 2 is where they establish the connection between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, that she's actually the baby sister of Michael Myers. And because of that, that's why we get H2O, because if there was no 2, he would have no reason to go to fucking California away from Haddonfield to go kill Laurie Strode.
I will agree that they need the brother-sister relationship in order to bring her back as a victim or a potential victim for H2O. On the other hand, it still kind of fucks with me that he would have survived being completely engulfed in flames and having both eyes shot out. He was exploded. He had both his eyes shot the fuck out. And for some reason, they pick and choose when continuity matters. Well, we want the continuity of her being his sister, but we don't want the continuity of him having his eyeballs shot out.
Stevie Wonder Michael Myers.
I know. He could fucking be the Ray Charles Michael Myers, right?
He's just there swinging the knife, smiling.
He's like swinging the knife like
that'd be fucking amazing.
Dude, I would pay to see that.
I would pay to see that twice. So do you rate this movies on boners? Do we do like a Siskel and Ebert thing where we're like one boner up, one boner down?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't typically tend to, for the commentaries, I don't tend to rate the films. I don't, I'll save that for a review of some sort. But here I really just try to talk about the film in a way that's,
Well, just so you know, I am erect right now, so I'm giving it one boner up.
That's all the boners you can give it. If you had 2 dicks, then you could give it boners up. But if you had 2 dicks, then I think you'd be a rich man because you'd be in porn.
I must say, you don't know me. I got fucking all the dicks.
Bitch, you don't know me. I got 2 dicks.
I got one dick right here. I got one dick back there. You can
I
take
got
a guess
one.
what that means.
Eh,
I would say that I still love this movie to this day. Anyone that made it through this commentary, thank you so much for listening to us. Like, barely describe the movie,
Absolutely.
barely give you any facts. It was really a lot of like commentary.
Well,
Very mystery.
the idea is that you know, a good commentary, we shouldn't be describing what's going on screen, right? Because
That's true. Yeah.
everybody's watching along with us. They don't need us to tell them what's happening. They don't need us to relate to them the basic stuff. Like, you've got eyes, you're watching the film. So the idea behind the commentary is I really want to give people either some insight into the film where we're actually like talking about like the Victor von Frankenstein thing. I think was a very valid like reading of the film and kind of, you know, adds a little bit of value, or us talking about Michael Myers getting stabbed to death with Jamie Lee Curtis's erect cock would also be okay, because you're providing entertainment value.
If you really do want to see a movie where somebody actually just describes to you exactly what you're watching, go watch Arnold Schwarzenegger in what's the one where his head explodes? He's like, get to Mars. What's that one?
Yeah. Total Recall.
Total
Which
Recall. So yeah, so if you watch Total Recall, he like describes the movie as he was like,
yeah.
"This is me when I'm getting in the chopper. This is me when I'm fucking the predator." It's very entertaining because like he's doing it by himself, and it's fucking awesome.
Arnold's commentaries are notoriously terrible. Like, this is where we were up at 6 in the morning, and I was swinging the sword around for Conan the Barbarian, and James Earl Jones was not coming to set until 10:30 that morning, and so we couldn't start filming until noon. We had to have lunch first, and then we did the pickup shots of me swinging the sword, and here I am swinging the sword. So Arnold's commentaries are terrible, but also excellent because you get to listen to Arnold.
You just did a fabulous fucking Arnold
Thank you.
Schwarzenegger impression. I'm like,
for the last like 15 years, I've been working on my Arnold.
it's pretty good.
I need to get the Turbo Man doll. It's almost Christmas,
Oh,
and the
yes.
sun is, you know, I need to get the Turbo Man doll. And if you have the doll,
Give me
then
that ball.
give me the Turbo Man doll. Yeah.
I like when he's like chasing after that little boy with the ball in his mouth the entire time, like a raging pedophile in a trench coat.
If it was me and I had to fight against Michael Myers, you know, Michael Myers clearly has never been into the gym before, and he does not eat the protein. And so obviously, if it was my character, if I was playing the Jamie Lee Curtis character and I was playing Laurie Strode, then you know, as Laurie Strode, I would have simply, you know, he would swing the knife at me, and I would grab him by the wrist. When he swing the knife at me, I would grab him and I would crush his. He has this little wrist. It's like a brittle. It's like chalk. I would crush it like it was chalk for the chalkboard, and then I would proceed to punch him in the face, and then I would I would reach over just out of screen, and then I would pull back, and it would be the camera would reveal that I was holding the saw blade and I would throw it into his head, and it would stab him in the forehead, and then he would clearly he would fall over dead. I would defeat Michael Myers in the instant. He would be nothing to me. I mean, he's a 45-year-old man. And when I was 45, I won the Mr. Olympia contest when I was 45. Look at Michael Myers, and he does not even lift a single weight. I don't understand why this is an intimidating character to you American folks, but to whatever. To us Germans, you know, we do not look at him as an intimidating character at all, because an 8-year-old German girl would defeat him.
You give an inch of credit for a Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, and Jason takes a fucking mile.
Yes, I took we measure in kilometers in Germany, so in Austria, I took precisely 10 kilometers.
Oh my god, that was fucking awesome. Thank you for having me, buddy. I appreciate you.
Dude, thank you for coming along. Thank you for rattling on this commentary, because I don't think I could have done it without you. I don't think I had enough meat on this bone. But I appreciate this film so much more now after watching it with you, because, you know, a month ago, if you'd asked me what I thought about Halloween H20, I would have been like, it's shit. Get the fuck out of here. It's shit.
So
You've brought my appreciation up to a new level, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Tell people where they could listen to more of your podcasts if they were so intrigued.
Well, if they are so intrigued, I do a little show with a guy named Jason, His Holiness Jacobone, the movie Monk, all me over on New England
That man
Native.
clearly has his head up his own ass because look at how long his name is. Why would he give himself such a long name if he didn't think so highly of himself?
We have a Facebook page, we have a YouTube channel, and we are up to almost 3,000 members strong who are so interactive with our content and only our content. It's fucking beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like I've never had such dedicated fans in my life. Like we told them we were going to do a show back in November, and they thought it was like Trump's people like breaking in there. No. Like that was our fans. Like we're mad they didn't put out a show. It was insane.
No.
It was not political. It was crazy. But no, so you can check that out. And I'm also on a little show called Tatnus TV. That is on slight hiatus until until the showrunner Mr.
So his
Ethan
daughter
Cleary
turns
actor.
18.
Yeah, thing is, like, you only get to be a dad for that age once, and I don't think he thought it was gonna be as impactful, but like he's a dire fucking family man, just like we all are.
Yeah.
And so he's taking his time off and shit. So that's good for him. Fucking I support such things. So that later on, New England Natives now, Jason Almey's penis later.
In about 5 minutes. Get down here, bro.
I wasn't really going down on Jason.
Yeah.
I was pretending, but you could feel it. This mic was his dick. It's about the same size too.
Yeah, and just as black. Just as black. Like my grandma's dream. Right there. Oh my God, give me that thing.
Jason, you're hung like Goliath. Definitely not like Ernie, your real grandfather. Goliath, he was the young black man from the fields.
You know why they called it the Great Depression?
Because his dick depressed in my pussy.
Exactly. Oh, Grandma, I'm so sorry.
What a
thank
whore.
you guys for hanging out. I'm just watching the fucking views go down. Y'all motherfuckers, thank you guys for hanging out. We will catch you on the flippy dippy. Happy Halloween to all you cocksuckers. If I don't see you, peace, motherfuckers.